Okay.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. We should start um our webinar with Al-Fatihah and Surah Al-Fatihah. Okay, thank you very much to all of you. Terima kasih. I hope we can spare our time to listen to Prof. Shahrin sharing session about the research methodology. So without further ado, saya mempersilakan Prof. Shahrin untuk share dia punya experience lah. Okay, persilakan.
Okay, terima kasih Dr. Zahid for the brief introduction. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajmain. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa yassir rabbi khair. Pertamanya terima kasih, thank you to the Postgraduate Committee for UTeM for inviting me this morning to practically this is a sharing session. But before I start, I would like to tailor-make the presentation and sharing session to what the participant would like to hear. Even though the title is research methodology, but we can have the morning session to whatever way you want it to be. Saya tengok dalam ni pun ada rakan-rakan Prof. Saya terima kasih juga pada Prof. Prof. Nadia yang juga ada bersama. And maybe ada some few juga, most likely most of you are from our graduate program. Jadi kalau boleh a quick note to the chat box, just tell me your expectation. What do you like to hear? Itu dia. Short one from each one of you. What do you like to hear from me this morning? Kalau tidak, what I will do actually, I have a few set of presentation, but I will start off. I just want to know how many of you actually are doing a PhD or a master by research. A quick thumbs up or hands up, or quick hand raise, whatever means that is most suitable to any of you. Angkat tangan sikit. Okay, tengah buat master or PhD. Okay, Nurul lagi. Okay, Aiman, Benan, Azlin, okay. Okay, Siti, Puan aja, okay, ada Ashraf, Adibah, alright, okay. So kalau tidak, I'll use this slide. Itulah saya selalu guna joke. Most of us academic ni memang kais pagi makan pagi lah, saya guna ayat macam tu. It's supposed to be a joke, but it's not a joke, it's a real thing. So even though we have a lot of materials, macam saya lah, macam Prof. Nafi pun sama lah, saya ingat mereka saya, ada bertipu-tipu a lot of things that we have at hand. So what I will share with you, kalau lah yang saya share ni slide macam dulu lah pakai acetate tu dia dah kuning lah, right? Tapi kebetulan memang warna resmi UTeM ni warna kuning, so dia warna orange, so dia okay lah kan. Alright, what I will share with you a set of slides actually I prepared long time ago, and the title is A Route to a PhD. Ataupun for those who are doing a master's by research, this is still relevant to most of you. Okay, if you allow me, Mr. Secretary, kalau ada something that you have in mind yang you like me to share and elaborate, just tulis kat ruang chat, insyaAllah. Okay, saya pun mohon jugalah kalau Prof. Dr. Robiah dan Dr. Sahib, kalau ada apa yang saya termiss tu, just highlight kat saya. Okay, apa tu, Rosmiza, what must we actually put in chapter 3? Chapter 3 apa pula tu? Okay, so methodology lah ceritanya. Okay, tapi I'll give you a big picture because we cannot focus on chapter 3 alone without understanding what's happening dekat pangkal and kat ujung. Okay, and I will share with you how the whole thing actually ties up together. Okay, in making sure that chapter 3 okay really meets apa yang you nak buat ke chapter 3 tu. Okay, dia terkait daripada chapter 1 sampai chapter last, depending lah ada 5 chapter ke 6 chapter ke 7 chapter. Okay, I'll do that, but I will focus a little bit more on what chapter 3 is about. Alright, okay, let me start sharing. Bismillah.
Prof, kita kena cakap bahasa Inggeris sebab ada partisipan yang non-Malay, non-Malaysian.
Non-Malaysian. Okay. All right. I will try to use as much English as possible. Okay. But there are certain things I'll crack some jokes or anything. Most likely will be in Malay to relate better to the local custom. But to be fair to us juga, I mean, as Malaysian, of course, we will not put our national language aside. So I'll be using some Malay. Apologize to some of the foreign friends, but I mean, you have to make an attempt also to learn bahasa lah. That's my personal opinion. Okay, let me start. Can you guys see my slides?
Dah record kan, Datuk?
Ya. Nampak dah keluar merah tu? Zahi and Robia, you are co-host. So anything that I miss, please help me. Okay, just to be frank, saya baru tukar kat bawah tu. Asalnya kat bawah tu 10 tahun. Originally the wording kat bawah tu, the word is 10 tahun menempa kegemilangan. So that's how old this slide is lah. Alright, but as anything with regard to knowledge is everlasting. So as most of the thing in this slide, so I will try to relate to things which are contemporary today, especially in the domain of research that we are now talking about IoT, Internet of Things, IR 4.0, you know, and certain area of focus and concern. The SDG has been there for a while, but I will not be talking specifically on topic, but more so on the process. So you guys can interrupt me at any point of time during the presentation. All right. Now, okay. So what I will try to share with you is practically the journey. And everything that relates to it, because doing a master's by research or a PhD, there are actually a lot of things that need to be managed. So you need to understand what is it about, what is the expectation, who are the stakeholders, what are your resources, and this is the tough part, because you as the candidate, or some of you out there who are listening are supervisors, okay, you need to manage all these resources. Okay, of course, when we say resources, they are constrained. Okay, kita tak ada bahan. We don't have all the time in the world. We don't have all the money, and of course now for the supervisors, that includes myself. Okay, we are out of money in terms of grant. Okay, the country is in certain state of limbo. Kita duk Melaka lagi isu politik tak habis lagi. UTeM nowadays, I can safely use the term we have a leadership crisis. Okay, the NCs, there's no NCs, the TNCPI is menjalankan tugas, the TNCA is on sick leave, somebody else is doing his job, you know, that kind of thing. So these are things which are happening around us, but whatever the situation is, we as a research student, or we as a supervisor, we as an academic, okay, life goes on. Okay, we have our own deadline, we have our own target, we have our responsibility that we need to deliver. So in this session this morning, what I will do, I will share a little bit of this thing. I will not be able to cover all of it, okay, but I will do as much as I can, focusing on some of the concern, especially with regard to research methodology that relates to chapter 3 just now. Okay, now, so together with that, of course, I will talk about the outputs, the outcome, you know, how do you get to the end, and I think some of you are already in the middle, doing something. So by doing this, I hope I can relate that I can relate to you whether you are on the right track, or if you are not, what needs to be done, how to get things right, and that sort of things. Okay. Now, of course, at the end too, you know, inshallah, God willing, once you get to the end, you got your PhD. So what? And what to do? You know, is that the end of life? Is that the end of your achievement as far as your main endeavor in life to get a PhD? Now you carry a title of a doctorate. Okay, so life is done. No. Okay, so if we have time, we'll talk about it. Yep, ada soalan? Tak. Kalau boleh, saya tak nak mute-kan all tapi saya minta bantuan Prof. Dr. Robia dan Dr. Zahir lah, kalau ada macam betul-betul tersilap tertekan ke, minta tolong mute-kan lah. Okay, so what is the background? Okay, of course, within the sphere or the whole bubble of of our life in terms of a researcher. Okay, so of course the key stakeholders within that ecosystem, one of the key players actually is, of course, beside the candidate, is the supervisors. Okay, so this is where the main thing comes on, because some of you who are listening out there are supervisors. Okay, the matching between the candidate and the supervisor is almost like a marriage. Okay, for those of us who have gone through this journey, we know what is it like. Okay, sometimes dia macam mix marriage, apa ni, fixed marriage ataupun match marriage. Okay, so tak ada pilihan. Or the faculty has assigned me this supervisor. I asked for a different supervisor. Okay, the supervisor punya point of view pula. Okay, I did not ask for these students. Okay, that happened to me as well in my career. Okay, suddenly I got this student. Tak minta pun, tak pilih pun. I have not even go through the proposal. Suddenly he is my student or she is my student. Okay, but they are of course the ideal in life. Okay, what is the ideal in life? Okay, itu jejaka idaman, ini wanita idaman, finally got married happily ever after. Okay, so in PhD also sometimes there are idealism like that. Okay, the candidate wanting this particular supervisor, the supervisor tengok, oh, this is the best candidate, and suddenly they get together, they become the supervisor and supervisee. Okay, but that does not guarantee just juga in real marriage. Okay, ni jejaka hidaman, ni perempuan idaman, does not mean the marriage will be happily ever after. Likewise juga in PhD. Okay, the supervisor may be the one that the supervisee wanted, the supervisee is the one what the supervisor wants. It does not necessarily mean the PhD journey will be a happily ever after lasting, okay, Cinderella kind of thing ending. No, okay, there are a lot of other factors that need to be managed. Okay, so we may touch a little bit on that as well, but as far as the background is concerned, okay, the way the supervisor supervise, so as a supervisee, you need to understand how does your supervisor supervise. Okay, like myself, of course, I got my PhD in UK. In UK, the culture of supervision is different from the culture of supervision in Malaysia. Okay, the culture of supervision in Malaysia also depends on how the supervisor was trained. Okay, if he or she is trained in US, okay, he or she may be influenced in how she was trained or he was trained. Likewise as well, if he or she graduated from Japan, or locally from Malaysia, or even from UTeM, or even from Australia, okay, so that also might influence the way he or she supervise. Okay, this is where you need to understand. Okay, understanding the chemistry between you and your supervisor is important, because that really determines how you proceed in your research life as a research candidate. Okay, so shared experience, there are often no right and wrong answers. Okay, as far as how even I myself as a supervisor, I do supervise each one of my supervisees differently. Okay, there's no one fixed rule. Okay, just like as I use the analogy of a marriage for those of you yang dah kahwin lah. Okay, a particular recipe may work for this couple, it may not work for the other couple. Just likewise also, if some of you are already married, you're having children. Okay, the way you raise one individual children may work on one, but may not work on others. Okay. So likewise juga, I'm talking now to the supervisors, you cannot have one fixed rule. Okay, this particular technique work with that guy, I got 20 papers out of him or her. Okay, so I will do the same to this guy. No, it may work, it may not work. Okay, itu yang penting for you to really understand. Remember, this relationship between the supervisor and supervisee is a human relationship. Okay, semalam pun dalam masa hari akademia saya dah cerita, you have to put the people first. Okay, dia orang, dia manusia, he's a human being. That particular person has an emotion. He or she has a feeling. Likewise, the supervisor also a human being. He or she also have feelings. Okay, there has other commitment and so on. That's why you need to we have to make sure that, itulah sebelum buka tadi Zred kata latar belakang cantik tu, saya kata itulah tu saya tunjuk, kebetulan gambar tu memang ada kat situ Zred, slide ni dah berpuluh tahun dah. Memang itulah bilik profesor macam tu. Kalau bilik profesor pensyarah tak macam tu, he's not a professor, he's not a lecturer. Okay, I remember in UTeM, for those of you yang dah lama, we are colleagues. I remember dulu kita ada Prof Mohtar. Okay, Prof Mohtar he's a professor. Okay, but his training was different. He worked in the government department, BTD, program of course, coming from industry. Myself have been academia all along. Memang macam itulah meja kita. Okay, berserabut di meja kita, desktop dalam komputer pun berserabut. That's how berserabut our mind is lah. But that just to show that we are doing things, we are working. That's how we work. Okay, now, So that's why you need, coming back to the background, discussion, information sharing has to happen in whatever means. Okay, we need to communicate. We need to communicate. That is the most important. Okay, saya pun sama throughout my career supervising. Okay, ada students yang always communicate with me. Ada student tak. I had a student, now he's a lecturer. Okay, every week dia akan hantar report kat saya. At the beginning of his study, dia hantar 2 report. Okay, 2 reports. Then sampai I told him, no, I tak sempat baca pun. Dia kata tak apa Prof. I like to write. Okay, so every paper I write, tapi saya suruh dia buat pun. For everything that you read, make sure you summarize and put it in a nice logbook. Okay, he got over excited. Okay, so 1 minggu sampai 2 report dia hantar kat saya. Okay, but my point is that the most important thing is to communicate. Kena berhubung. Between you, kalau kita supervisor, awak tengah buat research, supervisor awak buat tak tahu je. Okay, kadang-kadang saya pun macam tu. Hantar WhatsApp pun tak jawab, hantar email pun tak jawab. Okay, do not give up. Try to communicate and reach out. Okay, likewise juga kalau kita supervisor senyap je. Okay, hantar email tak jawab, WhatsApp tak jawab. We have to still continue and initiate that discussion. Okay, as in any relationship, as in any human relationship, the moment the communication break down, the relationship will break down. Okay, itu yang jadi kalau macam pengalaman saya lah. Alright, dan ini akhirnya itulah bukan fail PhD tempoh PhD dah habis, nak buat susah. Sama juga dalam supervisor punya experience, kadang-kadang when the communication fails, the supervisor wanting something else, the supervisor did something else. Okay, kita dah suruh buat macam ni lah. Okay, dia buat macam ni juga. Okay, sometimes there are cross-cultural differences. Sometimes there are language barriers. Okay, you mean something, they understand something else. Okay, some of you out there, for example, are Indonesian. Sometimes we may feel that, okay, kita sama serumpun satu budaya, okay, kita guna bahasa Malaysia, bahasa Indonesia. Okay, that's where the danger comes in. Because why? Sometimes in Malay, we mean something else. The same word. In bahasa Indonesia, it means something else. Okay, and the most classical joke we always do in UTeMK adalah a lot of our Indonesian students, when we ask them to do something, they will respond, siap, siap Prof, siap Pak. Okay, but of course that is a culture in Indonesia. In Malaysia, the moment you say siap, it means done, complete. Okay, done and done, over and done with. Tak payah tanya lagi lah. But of course, culturally in Indonesia, it also means something like that. But when they interact, okay, it just means that, okay, noted. Okay, I'll get it done. I'll do it. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, there's a difference between ready and done. Okay, the Indonesian meaning is I'm ready. Okay, the Malaysian meaning is done. Okay, jadi itu yang kadang-kadang coming back to communicating between supervisors and supervisees. Okay, we really need to understand and use the right language. Okay, nowadays of course due to COVID pandemic and so on, this is our means of communication. Okay, if we prefer to do it by text, by all means, but as I always tell a lot of people, when we communicate, okay, it goods to see faces. Okay, sebab tu saya tak nak wajibkan, because some of you maybe your bandwidth are low, but I wish some of you, tadi saya nampak ada few of you turning on your video. Okay, why don't you do that? Because why? For me, trying to relate to you, because I have body languages, I have gestures. Okay, you can see me, but I can't see you. So I don't know how are you responding to my presentation. Okay, macam saya cakap semalam lah kan, lecturer pun entah ke mana, student pun entah ke mana, itu yang datang peribahasa. Okay, cikgu kencing berdiri, anak kencing berlari lah. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that whatever channel of communication available out there during the pandemic, use it. Email, WhatsApp, okay, WebEx, MS Teams, FaceTime or whatever. Okay, anything that will enhance communication between you and your supervisors, the supervisor and the supervisee, use it to the utmost. Okay, so that sharing is important. Approach to supervision can be linked to core belief about what research is. Yang itu nak ditanya tu. Okay, you have an objective to achieve. The supervisor has an objective to achieve in whatever niat that he or she may have. Okay, but the most important actually is trying to understand What is the core function? We are now, kita bergelumang dengan research. We are talking about research, penyelidikan. Okay, of course Indonesian term is penelitian. Okay, but what is it actually? What are we doing? What is our core business? Okay, of course, in trying to understand the word research tu, kita boleh deliberate lah. Okay, because why? We are actually looking into the frontier of knowledge. We are looking for something new. Okay, that's why as far as a PhD is concerned, even masters by research, one of the key questions that will be asked, okay, during your viva, what is your contribution? What is the novelty of your work? Okay, apa yang baru ni? What is the innovation? Where is the creativity part? Okay, jadi kenapa? Because in research, we as academia, okay, semalam kita sambut hari akademia, because we in academia, kita dalam dunia akademik, kita sebagai seorang guru, sebagai seorang penyelidik, sebagai seorang peneliti, okay, it is our responsibility to create new knowledge, to find new knowledge. Okay, untuk apa? What is the purpose of this knowledge? What is the purpose of this new technique? What is the purpose of this methodology? Because we want to make sure that kita manusia, okay, kemanusiaan itu, mankind can live a better life. Okay, today is better than yesterday, tomorrow is better than today. Okay, of course what we have today in 2021 is much better than what we had way before. That's what we think, okay, or that's what we perceive. Okay, maybe yes, maybe no, right? Because as far as human being is concerned, quality of life is not measured by things. Okay, the real measurement actually is happiness. Okay, for the Muslims, kita doa hari-hari lah, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Okay, what is hasanah? What is the good thing in life? Okay, itu yang kadang-kadang kita buat joke kan. Kerja cari makan tapi kerja sampai tak makan kan. Apa kerja? So likewise juga. Okay, we are doing research. Research is for what? Okay, nak cari ilmu tapi yang dicarinya paper. Okay, nak cari ilmu tapi yang dicarinya citation. So you miss the point. You miss the point. Okay, so you have to go back to the real reason. Why are you doing this research? As a candidate lah. Okay, saya nak dapat CJ PhD. Okay, sebelum ijazah. Untuk apa? Okay, so why I'm asking you this, because that is the motivation that will drive you to move on. That will be the motivation that will strike you, okay, to move forward faster, quicker, okay, and your turnaround period is much better. Okay, dia tak drag, walaupun you slow pace, but you are motivated to move on. Okay, I've known people who did their PhD for 12 years. Okay, I know people, even my bed partner pun finish a PhD at 54. Okay, that's as far as a PhD is concerned, there's no time limit in terms of when you should finish it. It's up to you. You are the main driver. Of course, the supervisor is there to facilitate, but the candidate themselves, he or she is the one who should self-motivate and drive on to complete the work. Okay, coming back to research degrees. Okay, kalau bagi supervisor pula, okay, bila buat research grant lah, tak kisah apa benda lah. Kalau zaman saya dulu, dia science fund and so on, kita ada FRGS, RGS, segala macam tu lah. Okay, dia akan tanya, apa hasil penyelidikan ni? Dan apa dalam hasil tu kita kata, kita akan hasilkan seorang PhD, 2 master, whatever lah. Okay, is that the output? Is that the outcome? Ini yang saya cakap, jangan terperangkap dengan proses. Do not be caught into the processes. Okay, these are means to calibrate, means to measure. But the real impact of the PhD is that when the students completed, apa jadi pada ilmu yang terjana itu? What do you do with that knowledge? You dah dapat ilmu ni, apa you buat dengan ilmu ni? Okay, contoh kita as a supervisor, okay, kita ada new funding. Bring it back to our discussion in our classroom. Kita ajar budak undergrad, kita ajar balik dalam master by top courses, kita bawa balik ilmu ni, mengajar balik. Kembangkan lagi. Okay, contoh besok ada another candidate continuing, okay, kita dah ada one candidate finishing, okay, ada lagi future work, sambung lagi. Because why? That's our core business. Penjanaan dan pengembangan ilmu. Okay, the creation and generation of new knowledge. For what? For the betterment of life, for betterment of mankind. Kalau kita yang Islam ni, untuk kebahagiaan hidup dunia akhirat. Okay, now, of course, the qualities of candidate is important. Okay, the fact that all of you who are now online with me, you are already online, you are already in the system. Meaning why? Meaning what? Okay, you have the qualities. You are being perceived by the university, by the faculty, that you have the materials, you have the know-how, you have the brain power to complete this study, to complete this task. Okay, so what are the qualities needed in the candidate? Ni yang penting, because this is the expectation. If you do not understand the expectation, you will not be doing it. Okay, the first criteria and the foremost qualities which is required in the candidate is the ability to conduct original investigation. What do we mean by original investigation? Ini dia masalah zaman semalam kita bincang nak sebut pun susah. Digitalization. English senang sikit. Sebut bahasa Melayu, digitalisasi. Okay, in this world of IR 4.0, everything is computerized, everything is in online. Okay, it's so much tempted to look what others has done and follow what they have done. Okay, saya cukup macam kata anti lah. Okay, kononnya. Oh, what literature technique you pakai? Oh, Prof, saya pakai SLR. Okay, dulu SLR ni kamera. Okay, fine. Now is systematic literature review. Fine. Okay, fine. Okay, what do you do? Oh, saya keluar paper, saya dah buat analisa. I've done this analysis out of the 300 paper. These are the technique they use. This is the high rank. Okay, because this, okay, I'm using this technique. Okay, fine. So, what is your original investigation? This is what others has done. In terms of technique, ingat tadi ni saya dari chapter 3 chapter 3. Okay. Dalam metodologi yang you dah tengok orang lain buat, based on the method that others has used, you have analyzed, you have cross-checked, what have you learned, what are the new method that you introduced, what are the new criteria you have picked up, what are the other variables that you have seen. Okay, yang itu yang ceritanya balik kepada qualities of candidate. The candidate, you as the supervisor, you need to have or develop this quality, the ability to conduct original investigation. Okay, you mampu nak buat original, you punya idea. Okay, tengah malam fikir dalam toilet, tu yang ada tempat yang saya dapat idea lah. Dia tempat dapat idea ni tempatnya pelik-pelik. Bila tengah, kalau yang Islam lah, tengah solat kan, duduk aja tekas sembahyang tu, Allahu Akbar. Oh, datang idea macam-macam. Setan iblis nak ganggu kita khusyuk dalam solat, masa tu lah datang idea. Okay, oh patut boleh buat tu. Kenapa eksperimen tu tak lamakan sikit? Data tu tak cukup tu. Okay, now whatever it is, how you get your ideas, okay, it doesn't matter, okay, but you need to get the ideas. Now balik pada qualities. Okay, you need to have this quality, the ability to test idea. Soalan dia saya nak tanya pada yang tengah online ni lah. Idea ni dapat kat mana? Siapa nak jawab? Tolong jawab kat ruang chat. Mana pula ruang chat saya dah hilang pula. Okey. Tolong jawab kat ruang chat. Idea ni dapat kat mana? Where do you get ideas from? Please. Dari Allah. Okey. Nak dapat rahmat daripada Allah, nak dapat idea tu macam mana? Through extensive reading and experience. Okay, good answers. But just reading alone sufficient? From the problem. Baring masa nak tidur. Baring masa nak tidur dah cerita lain dan nurul. Okay, tak apa. Continue. Any other? What are your main source of ideas as far as your research is concerned? Datang daripada mana ilham tu? Senyap lah. Tak ada orang jawab lagi. Some of you are starting some observation. Okay, fine. Some of you are in the middle of doing research. Some of you maybe towards the end. Where do you get your ideas from? Okay, looking from previous project, which probably mentioned areas for the research, fine. Look from a working experience, yes. Okay, problem kawan-kawan kat industry, correct. Okay, literature, okay, fine. Right, now, what I want to conclude atau summarize actually, ideas will not come until you understand what you're working on. Okay, idea takkan datang selagi mana kita tidak faham masalah yang cuba kita selesaikan. Remember, most research, it can start in two ways. Okay, it can start with a problem, okay, or it can start with an opportunity. There's no problem, but there's an opportunity. Okay, new ways of doing things. Okay, but a lot of it started off with the problem. Because why? The opportunity normally also right from some disadvantages or some shortcoming of some. So akhirnya jadi problem juga. Okay, now coming back to the ideas tadi. yang jawab tadi kata datang dari literature, observation and so on. So maksud dia apa? When you tackle the problem, ingat kita cerita belum masuk lagi chapter 3 ni, baru nak masuk intro chapter 1 quality of candidate, you need to understand the problem. This is where sometimes certain candidate during Viva even dah tulis cantik dalam thesis cantik lah. But the examiner tanya, what is the problem are you trying to solve? Tak boleh nak jawab. They cannot articulate what is the problem. Dia pun sebut problem statement dia. Okay, fine, that's your problem statement. But in actual fact, what is the problem? Okay, so this is the most important qualities that a PhD or research candidate need to have. Okay, when you think, bila you fikir, the way you think, okay, you need to apply. Okay, saya tak nak mengajar teknik berfikir kat sini, tak. Tapi saya cuma nak katakan, one of the most important thing is when you think, you have to think conceptually. Apa konsep dia? Okay, how does things relate? Because remember, saya akan cerita sekejap lagi. Dekat level when you are doing your postgraduate, okay, kalau kita pensyarah, kita dah go through the exercise, okay, kita akan refer pada Bloom taxonomy. Tapi tolak tepi Bloom tu tak kisah. Tapi yang saya nak katakan di sini adalah you will be evaluated on 3 things. 3 things. You tak dapat 3 ni, you tak dapat master by research, you tak dapat PhD you. Okay? Your ability to analyze, your ability to evaluate, and your ability to synthesize. Okay? Keupayaan anda untuk menganalisa, keupayaan anda untuk menilai, okay, dan keupayaan anda untuk mensintesis ataupun mencari kesimpulan atau mencari pengajaran. Okay, so this is where the tough part comes in. Okay, what do you mean by analysis? Okay, what do you do to analyze? Okay, masalah dia yang dari segi kesalahfahaman istilah juga dalam bahasa Malaysia. Bila kita kata menganalisa, mencari data. Menganalisa adalah mengumpul data, okay, dan analisa itu adalah melihat kepada data. Salah. Okay, saya kena tekan berkali-kali. I've been in academia for so long. Okay, saya selalu cakap beginilah, inilah antara ajaran sesat yang bila you sampai ke peringkat universiti buat master dan PhD yang susah nak betulkan. You dah lekat dalam kepala otak ni daripada sekolah. Okay, you have been stuck with that understanding from school. Okay, buka balik dictionary. Saya ni, minta maaf cakap the way saya mengajar, saya orang lama. Okay, Prof Kanapi tu nampak macam senior kan, tapi saya ni nampak macam muda, tapi kepala otak saya ni agaknya dah macam dinosaur dah. Okay, jadi nak ceritakan apa? Saya mengajar, saya explain cara balarah. Saya ni orang Johor, belajar kitab dulu sekolah agama. Okay, di sekolah pun ada juga kaedah tu, tapi macam dah makin kurang. Okay, when you learn mathematics, you understand what is the theorem, the definition. Okay, then only you apply. Itu kaedah budaya ilmu. Yang itu yang tuan-tuan, when you do your PhD, a lot of students fail to do. Ini saya cerita idea lagi ni belum masuk lagi dalam yang dalam. When you talk about ideas, when you use certain term, what does the certain term means? Ini yang berlaku contohnya dah sampai Viva ni. Tajuk IoT bla 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 bla. Saya tanya, what is IoT? Maaf saya cakap kerana supervisor pun terduduk. Okay? Because why? As academia, when you say certain term, you really need to understand what that terms mean. Orang ni define macam ni, orang ni define macam ni. Okay, standard body define macam ni. Academia, industry define macam ni. Within my thesis, this is what I meant when I use this term. And this is how this term is going to be used throughout my thesis. You need to do that. Saya terpaksa keraskan suara. You have to do it. Because you bukalah mana-mana buku keilmuan. Buku fiqh, buku tauhid, okay, buku fizik, buku matematik, astronomi, okay. Sebut apa cabang ilmu. Apa saja buat cabang ilmu. The first thing that you need to do is when you go into a discipline, a problem, to provide with the solution, you need to define the terms that you used. Okay, saya nak balik pada idea tadi. When you understand the terms and istilah yang dalam bidang itu, okay, understanding that concept. Okay, contoh saya ambil apa maksud saya, apa yang saya maksudkan dengan konsep, conceptual thinking, apa yang saya maksudkan dengan analysis. Okay, bila you buka dictionary, dia kata analysis ini is your ability to break down things into the smallest part until it cannot be broken any further. Okay. Contohnya kalau saya ambil sebatang pen, saya boleh pecah belahkan physical pen tu sehingga tak boleh lagi pecah. Kalau saya ambil satu idea, satu konsep, idea itu boleh dipecah-pecah-pecahkan. It's broken down into pieces until the idea can be broken down into further details or smaller pieces. Itu analisis. Okay? That's what analysis is about. If you have not done that in a PhD or a Masters by Research, contoh examiner tengok, ni ada lagi bawah ni. Okay? Komponen ni ada lagi bawah ni. Sebab itulah when you are doing your literature, ingat saya kata tadi, SLR, whatever terms lah you nak pakai, KMAP lah, maknanya apa pun, okay? Selagi mana you tak analyze sampai ke peringkat bawah yang paling detail, you have not done your job. You go into your literature, you tak sampai contoh you talk about AI, talk about soft computing. Okay, who is the guru, the bapa dia? Saya kalau bahasa Indonesia ni kepala bapa ni siapa? Kalau dekat Malaysia cakap kepala bapa kasau. Okay, tapi kat sana itulah dia. Who is the founder of this knowledge? Okay, kalau dalam Bible ditanya, you tak boleh jawab. Maknanya apa? You belajar, you menganalisa, tak sampai punca asalnya. Kalau kita yang dalam Islam ni lah, yang Islam, kalau kita baca hadis, hadis daif lah, hadis maudhu'. Kenapa? Hadis tu tak sampai Nabi pun. Ini awak belajar, cakap dah buat contohnya in use of artificial intelligence and soft computing in IoT. Kita je, who started soft computing? AI ni, who's the father of AI? Tak boleh jawab. Maknanya apa? Dia berguru, belajar bidang tu, tak sampai pun dekat punca ilmu. Okay, ni nak cerita apa? Nak ceritakan bahawa to get ideas, to test ideas, you need to understand the overall domain, the concept that you are working on. Okay, so that's why understand relationship of own work to a wider field of knowledge. Jadi that's why, okay, kalau saya sebagai supervisor, saya kata okay, buat taxonomy. Okay, kalau ada setengah teknik arwah, sahabat saya dulu Prof Hazani, okay, bawa KMAP, okay, kat mana ni? Yang kita buat ni kat mana? Okay, this is the bigger picture of things. This is what I'm working on. Okay, I always use this analogy. Okay, PhD is about ability to swim and dive. Okay, the ability to swim and dive. Maknanya keupayaan anda untuk berenang dan menyelam. Maksudnya apa? Berenang ni, the ability to swim ni, you can be thrown to any sea, any kolam, any sungai, you can swim. Maksud dia apa? When you got your PhD, one of the skills that you have, the knowledge you have, you can be thrown at you any problem. You know, you have the means, you know the process, what to go through to solve that problem. That's what it means. Now, what do I mean by the ability to dive? Okay, when you have a problem, you should be able to go into the problem to the utmost bottom of the problem, paling bawah sampai kalau dalam laut ni, sampai jumpa mutiaranya. Apa makna mutiaranya? Penyelesaian kepada masalah itu. So you can skim through any surface of problem, understanding the context of that problem, ability to devise a process in solving that problem, and go into the problem deep in finding its solution. Itu dia master by research, PhD by research. Okay, your ability to swim in any ocean, any kolam, tasik, whatever. But you have also to demonstrate you have dive. Okay, anda tak perlu demonstrate anda dah dive dalam semua sungai, semua laut, semua kolam. No. But you need to demonstrate in your work of PhD yang you ada tu, katalah tadi you nak buat penggunaan AI in IoT katakanlah, atau security ke whatever in IoT, you have delved into that problem sampai bawah, sampai ke lubuk dia. Sampai bawah sekali. Okay, sampai bawah sekali. Okay, sampai ke bawah, maksud saya apa? You dah jumpa penyelesaian kepada masalah tersebut. Okay, ni memang kata suara tersekat-sekat. Orang lain pun tersekat-sekat juga, saya cakap short sendiri ni. Okay, I will try to talk as tertib as I can, so that kalaulah line anda tak apa-apa elok, nanti boleh tengok recording. InsyaAllah mudah-mudahan yang kat recording tu suaranya okay. Now, coming back to the slide. Jadi, that is the main quality that a PhD candidate should have. Kalau awak tak ada, develop that capability, develop the knowledge, develop the skills and ability to work into certain domain and relate what you are working on into the big picture. Ingat saya kata tadi, fikir secara kontekstual, konseptual, okay, dua istilah berbeza. alright, and the ability to analyze sampai habis. Pegang satu perkara, pegang satu masalah, cari. Kalau orang yang biasa bercocok tanam, okey, kalau cabut lalang tu, okey, jangan cabut pangkal dia saja, cabut sampai akar dia sampai habis punca dia. That's what you need to do when you are doing your PhD. When you look for solution, you trying to understand the problem, tarik sampai habis. Dah tak ada dah, habis dah hujung dah. That is analysis. If you have not demonstrated that, contoh you masuk fiber, you hantar thesis, examiner you tengok, tak sampai habis lagi, tak sampai punca lagi. So you fail to demonstrate that you have achieved the ability to swim and to dive. Ingat sekali ya, that's my analogy. Now, yang itu baru quality yang ada pada candidate. Now, what are the qualities that you need to have in the process? Ini yang saya kata tadi. Proses tu melibatkan you as the supervisee, orang yang kena supervise, and the supervisor. Okay, what are the processes in the PhD ataupun the master by research? Okay, dalam universiti apa dia? Okay, so students should be capable, well qualified. Yang ujung tu diligent. Kadang-kadang bachelor dah cantik dah, 3.799 begitulah. 4 flat lah, well qualified. Okay, dah ada pengalaman bekerja di industri, dah 7 tahun dah jadi senior manager dah. Okay, you have all the knowledge. Yang ujung ni yang selalu ni kita kecundang, diligent. Okay, this is the keyword. Okay, itu pun saya pesan pada anak PhD saya semester ni. Okay, saya kata, welcome to the new university life in pandemic. My last word to all of them, all the best to all of you, good luck, okay, and be diligent. Okay, so apa nak kata diligent ni? Itu tadi balik kepada mana nak datang diligent tadi. Saya tanya, kenapa awak buat PhD? Faham tak apa itu research? Okay, what are you trying to achieve in life? Because that is the drive that will drive you through the process. Okay, research should be properly supported and supervised. Yang ini yang kadang-kadang, tak maaf saya cakap lah, dalam zaman pandemik ni, okay, during the pandemic time, you are not on campus, the facilities are here, the software are here, the licenses are here, okay, you are out there. You are in Indonesia, you are abroad, you are in Kedah, you are in Sarawak, okay, so the research need to be properly supported. Okay, requirement for PhD, for example, you need to publish papers as a qualification to show merit that your work has value and has been evaluated by others. Okay, kena faham kenapa proses itu ada. Sebab kalau kita faham nanti you tersalah niat dan tersalah maksud dan tersalah kaedah. Okay, so the quality of supervision is part of the process. Okay, so that's why contoh memang kalau you start, remember tadi I use the analogy of you doing your PhD as in a marriage relationship with a person. Kalau daripada awal you tengok, oh cannot, tak boleh pergi kalau kata. Okay, so you need to break betul-betul cepat. Kalau nak tukar supervisor, tukar pada awal. Itu juga supervisor. Kalau rasa tak boleh supervise budak ni, jangan supervise budak ni. Okay, pass kat orang lain. Ingat saya kata tadi, walaupun saya joking kata istilah Kelantan tadi, kalau rasa tak boleh pergi, jangan. Okay, stop. Change. Okay, but do it at the beginning. Do not do it in the middle, do not do it at the end. Okay, kalau contoh jodoh tak panjang. Jodoh tak panjang. Saya guna jodoh tak panjang. Contohnya, if the marriage doesn't work out. Okay, it happen. Okay, sometimes, okay, we are not the master of the universe. Okay, we are not the creators, we are the one being created. Kita makhluk. Okay, tak panjang umur, sakit, tak sihat. If that happens, that also need to be managed. Okay, I also personally have gone through a period tu memang sakit, tak boleh. Kita tak boleh nak supervise dah. Okay, minta pass kat orang lain ke, minta tolong orang lain ke, the supervisor need to understand. Okay, given of the above yang ayat yang saya pakai di sini, what can be achieved in 3 years of a full-time study? Okay, tuan-tuan, different people may have different expectation of a period of a PhD. But my own personal experience, okay, 3 years is a meaningful period to do a PhD properly. In America, they may have a different expectation. Sometimes they expect you to do it in 4 to 5 years. Okay, in Australia, dulu there's the different Australian system. Also, when you submitted, they have a longer process of assessment and evaluation. In Japan, normally they will do it on the dot by 3 years. Okay, in my own personal experience, daripada tarikh saya naik kapal terbang dekat Subang tu sampai saya balik 3 tahun 2 bulan. Okay, so in reality 3 years is doable. Ingat saya kata tuan-tuan, ini adalah bab dapat PhD ini adalah bab rezeki. Okay, kita usaha. Alright, Allah tentukan. Okay, God Almighty is the one who determine whether you sail through easily or you have problems. Okay, there are things in life is beyond our control, but do not be frustrated. Okay, be diligent, persevere, continue to strive. InsyaAllah God Almighty, All Merciful will award you to what you are working for. Okay, Allah Maha Kaya, Allah Maha Pengasih, Allah Maha Penyayang. Kalau kita usaha, doa, tawakal, insyaAllah Allah izinkan. Okay, this is the normal period, 3 tahun. Kalau saya, aku dah terlajar lama dah 6 tahun, tak apa. Mungkin rezeki kita lambat. Usaha lagi, jangan putus asa. Right, now, tapi coming back to those who are just starting, okay, kena plan properly 3 years. Apa nak buat? Okay, saya yang supervise, saya jadi supervisor pun supervisor saya dah terlajak dah. Okay, tapi tak apa, everybody has their own constraint, work on it. Okay, work on it. Alright. Now, yang tadi, quality of the candidate, qualities of the process. Now, at the end of the day, okay, apa yang akan dinilai? Okay, saya tanya dalam ruang ni. Dekat akhir sekali PhD ni apa yang akan dinilai? What will be evaluated? Okay, Shahrizan kata thesis. Lagi ada jawapan lain? Sebenarnya yang dinilai. Okay, novelty. Lagi, apa yang akan dinilai? Proses. Lagi, contribution to knowledge. Lagi, saya belum jumpa jawapan saya lagi ni. Contribution. Lagi, ada lagi ideas? At the end of your study, method. Lagi, able to conduct research scientifically. Quality. Okay, saya stop kat situ. Okay, Zred has struck the answer. Okay. At the end of the day, when you submit, ni minta maaf nampak ke? Okay. PM Dr. Robia, minta maaf dia, kebetulan thesis kau aja yang ada kat atas kali ni. Okay. Alright. So this write up, what you put in this is in this book, in this compilation of ideas and writing. Okay, what the examiner will do when he or she reads your thesis is to measure. Ini pun samalah. If you are new in academic, sometimes you baca thesis kan, apa benda sebenarnya yang you nilai? Minta maaf cakap juga kadang Prof kata dah Prof dah, tapi tak apa benda yang dinilai saya pun tak tahu. Okay, all due respect to all colleagues. Okay, tapi at the end of the day, remember, we academic, kita pensyarah, kita profesor, we are in the line of transforming people. Okay, makna dia apa? When you first register in your PhD candidate, when you graduate, what are the journey that you have gone through that has transformed you? Apa transformation tu? Your thinking process and your ability, tu ayat Z tadi. Okay, to conduct research scientifically and solve problems scientifically. Itu yang akan diukur dengan pembacaan yang ada pada thesis yang awak tulis, dengan masa viva yang awak jawab, itu yang examiner akan tengok. Awak boleh fikir tak? Awak boleh analyse scientifically tak? Awak boleh cari data secara exhaustive dan dapat analyse data awak secara saintifik tidak? Conclusion awak coherent tak? Okay, kesimpulan yang awak buat tu bertepatan tak dengan premis yang awak ada? Okay? Penilaian yang awak buat tu valid ataupun tidak? Method yang awak bawa tu, dari segi yang selalu kita tanya, is it the novel method? Okay, is it original? Bukan kita nak tengok originality tu, kita nak tengok whether can you think to the point you can get original ideas. Itu sebenarnya yang diukur, which is difficult. Why? Because it's in your head. Sebab tu bagi yang tengah buat PhD ni, sakit kepala, why? Kan boleh tengok siapa dengar dia. And kita sebagai penilai atau saya sebagai supervisor, to do that, to train you to think in such a way that you can, when you are met with the problem, you can solve it scientifically. That's why you need to understand tadi, yang Rosmiza tanya saya, chapter 3 tu metodologi tu adalah you have to have the attribute of a scientific method. Maknanya apa? If somebody else pick up your methodology, ambil semua variable yang sama, okay, buat eksperimen yang sama, collect data macam you buat, they should be able to get exactly, kalau tak exact data lah, similar data, tapi yang pentingnya, they will arrive to the same conclusion findings that you have. Okay, itu dia, itu yang dinilai. Okay, whether can you do it given a different problem? Have you achieved that level of understanding of doing scientific research? Okay, solving complex problems scientifically, have you arrived to that stage or not? Itu yang kalau you tak dapat, itu yang minta maaf cakap dah, kadang-kadang kalau rezeki kita, dia kata bila problem with methodology, major problem, okay, major correction, tambah lagi 9 bulan, tambah lagi setahun. Bila problem with methodology in terms of data that you collect tak cukup, maknanya not enough data to come up with the findings yang you nak dalam research tu, jadi major correction. Okay? Sebab dia terkait dengan fundamental yang asas tadi. Your ability to analyze, your ability to synthesize and the ability to evaluate. Susunan tu tak kisahlah dari segi Bloom pun kerana dia tengah terbalik ke C5, C6 tu. Tapi tak apa. But most important is, can you evaluate scientifically? Can you synthesize coherently? Okay? Have you analyzed exhaustively? Okay? Sebab itulah maknanya ayat-ayat tu yang kadang kita terperangkap. Okay? Kerana apa? Kita tidak memahami keperluan itu. Jadi nak cerita apa? Sebelum Viva yang dinilai thesis. Tetapi bukan thesis per se, bukan formatnya. Kadang-kadang ada orang, ni format tak betul ni, kena hukum. Minta maaf saya cakap ni, kadang-kadang orang kata apa Prof ni. Okay? Pada saya tak kisahlah dia 2 inci ke, setengah inci ke, tulisannya bold ke tak bold. Of course, it has to be presentable. Why? Because if it's not presentable, saya yang menilai pun tak nak baca dah. Diagramnya kelabu asap ni zaman online ni. Saya itu beritahu dengan PPS. Saya kata kenapa tak buat spesifikasi untuk PDF tu supaya diagram tu ada BMP tu ada DPI-nya, senang nak baca. Ini tak, kelabu asap. Tak nampak dah figure. Okay, now the presentation tu is important. Why is it important? Because it makes your thesis readable and easily understood. Ini tidak macam mana? Saya sentuh je kan. Diagramnya 10 muka kat depan, dah cerita dah. Kita duk selak lah, mana diagram ni tak jumpa. Okay. So that's why there is a general rule. When you use a diagram, the discussion should not be more than 2 page before and 2 page after. Because apa, kita baca thesis ni, apa yang ada dalam kepala kita itu, examiner tak boleh baca apa dalam kepala kita. Dia boleh baca apa yang kita tulis. And that's why the presentation, the quality of the thesis reflects you as a person, and that will reflect the quality of the research that you have done. Itu dia punya merit. Some people has conduct excellent research. Saya berpengalaman menilai. Memang tip-top research dia. Tapi the thesis is so bad and it does not reflect the work that he or she has done. Yang itu yang akan jadi major juga. Padahal research dah tip-top. Paper memang cantik. Dah Q1 dah kadang-kadang. Okay, tapi not enough time spent on the thesis. So that's why the quality of the thesis is important. Okay, maksud quality itu adalah pada fizikalnya, kalau boleh saya guna roh maknanya spiritual yang ada pada thesis tu. Yang bila sebut spiritual yang ada pada thesis tu, maknanya pada orangnya. Okay, maknanya quality itu sudah tercapai. So substantial evidence of original scholarship and contain material worthy of publication. Itu yang pada penilaian umumnya, maknanya boleh dibuat publication. Okay, now ni nota lama. Nak ceritakan apa? Dulu zaman saya buat PhD, way back in the 90s, we do not expect, my supervisor do not expect me to publish everything that I work on. The expectation is that upon completing that's why in UK, there's some university, dia tak wajibkan lagi for you to have publication. Dah habis baru you publish. Yang ni, this is the danger. Yang saya kena ulang. Saya kena ulang. There's a lot of misconception. Contoh, now, out of this work, okay, you dah publish 1 atau 2 paper. 1 or 2 paper has been published. In any publication, you need to surrender your copyright. Betul atau tidak? Okay, pada paper yang dah publish. Yang sekarang ni tengah buat research ni lah. Contohnya kat UTeM yang ada syarat 2 paper kan. Dah publish belum? Now, the moment you sign, you surrender the copyright. Now, does that still belong to you? In terms of intellectual property. Kau nak jawab? The moment you publish your work, does it still belong to you? Tak ada orang jawab. Oh, dia dah kata. Okay, siapa yang baca itu, yang design tu, dia baca tak? Okay, so this is where the danger is. The more you publish, the more you disown your own work. Nampak tak paradox dia? Faham istilah paradox? Do you understand the word paradox? The paradox ni istilahnya macam kalau kita bahasa Melayu lah. Kelan mati mak, luah mati bapak. If you don't do it, you cannot graduate. But if you do it too much, you disown your own work. Faham tak maksud saya disown your own work? Ini idea you. You dah buat ni susah payah. You beri kat orang. Because why? You need to publish. But the moment you publish, everything that you write, every single word tu is no longer belong to you. The copyright now belongs to the publisher. This is where the issue of self-plagiarism comes in. Okay? Contoh berlaku di tempat kita, di UTeM. Okay? Bila kita buat turn in, semak 50% or 30% more than what kita kata, oh, ini tak apa, Prof, boleh exclude. No! Even though it's your own work, the moment you have published, you no longer own the copyright. Itu dah kena faham. Dah kena faham. This is where the supervisor and the supervisee need to adjust. Okay, yang ni boleh publish. Ni tak, ini simpan dulu, ini simpan dulu. Yang ni penting, yang ni paling penting, simpan dulu. Yang kita buat comparative analysis, yang kita compare banyak-banyak ni, itu tak apa. Itu bab 2 punya cerita, boleh publish, tak ada masalah. Tapi yang kita punya core idea ni simpan dulu, simpan dulu. Okay, sebab berlaku, saya pun berlaku pada saya, berlaku pada student saya. Okay, kita dah teruk-teruk buat. Okay, orang lain pergi buat buku. Kita dah sedar copyright kat dia, dia pergi publish tempat lain buat buku, habis kita melopong. Right, itu tak apa lagi kalau kita sempat buat thesis dalam tempoh sebelum dia publish dulu, tak apalah. Okay, sebab kita dah surrender. Idea is yours, but copyright is not yours. And copyright is not about owning the idea. It's owning diagram yang you dah buat, tulisan yang you dah buat tu. And this is where what happens that kalau you dah publish copyright orang lain punya, you bawa masuk pada thesis you kena acknowledge. Actually you kena minta balik permission nak publish mula. But why? Dalam university, dalam UTeM, okay, your thesis belong to the university. Dan you dah kata kat depan tu. You dah kata kat depan tu. Okay, yang you have not submitted this for some other degree. Betul, tapi you have published your paper. You kena beritahu that this paper has been published. You kena cakap, chapter 3 is an extension of the work that has been published in this journal, further elaborated in chapter 3. Part of chapter 2 has been published in 2 other papers published here and there and that. Kena isytihar. Sebab kalau you tak isytihar, bermakna you self-plagiarize. Okay, you dah publish kat sana, you publish lagi kat sini. And as far as being academia is concerned, that's not ethical. Okay, in fact, by copyright law, salah. It's not only ethical, salah dari segi undang-undang copyright. Okay, itu kena faham Minta maaf lah, saya ambil masa lama sikit. Okay, Dr. Rovia baru slide 4 ni, macam mana dah pukul 10. Okay, okay, tak apa. Okay, kita see how far we can go as far as we can. I hope it's meeting. Okay, now ini yang tadi yang saya dah ulas, saya tak akan cerita panjang. Okay, bila kita kata when you are doing your PhD, okay, ingat today dalam MQF pun, MQF 02, we are talking about outcome based education, we are talking about program learning outcome, we are talking about course learning outcome. Okay, so balik pada PhD ni, apa sebenarnya yang kita nak harapkan? Okay, apa yang kita nak harapkan adalah, okay, bila kita berbicara saja tentang level PhD dan level master ni, ini yang atas ni yang kita nak cerita. Okay, can you analyze, can you evaluate, can you create? Ni yang saya kata create tu apa? Yang tu yang kita kata tadi, create new knowledge. Orang kadang-kadang tak faham, dia kata macam mana nak cipta ilmu, macam mana nak jana ilmu. Yang tu yang ditanya tu, ini novel tak? Ini baru tak? Maknanya bila novel, that's your idea. Who created that idea? You are the one who created that. You are the one who created that new method. You are the one that created this new process. You are the one that created this new assessment technique. You are the one that created this new model. You are the one that created this new framework. Itulah maksudnya penjanaan ilmu baharu. Creating new knowledge. Now, when that new knowledge has been created, you need to disseminate that knowledge. Sebab tu, how do you disseminate? You publish. Okay, why you publish? Because you want to make sure other people learn from what you have discovered. Bukan sebab nak citation. Citation tu datang kemudian. It's a measurement of how people has used your work. Okay, jangan salah niat. Saya ulang lagi, jangan salah niat. Ingat, okay, antara ilmu, antara amal yang tidak akan putus adalah ilmu yang dimanfaatkan. Okay, itu kehidupan yang lebih kekal. Okay, jangan sebab citation di sini, bukan. Sebab kita dah ilmu yang kita dah buat ini, orang lain manfaat daripada ilmu kita. Orang lain dapat hidup lebih baik. Orang lain dapat mencari kehidupan dengan ilmu yang kita buat. Itu lebih tinggi nilainya daripada citation dari sini. Kenapa? Itu amal jariah. Okay, saya kata betulkan niat. Betulkan niat. Bila kita cari ilmu, kita jana ilmu, sebar ilmu, itu niat kita. Itu niat kita. Okay, right. Kami balik pada slide saya, dah berceramah agama pula ni. Okay. Should be able to, of course, yang tadi yang saya tanya tadi, macam mana nak dapat idea? Kalaulah you nak buat level ni, okay, kalau kita yang cerita pasal Bloom ni, nak buat level C4, C5, C6, tapi C1, C2, C3 tak buat. Okay, tak buat. Okay, tak understand, you tak baca. Okay, you tak apply pun, tak guna pun. Tools, orang tu cerita, ni guna tool NS2, kita buat ni ANOVA, buat correlation. Okay, kita tak buat pun, tak try pun, tak apply pun knowledge tu. Macam mana you nak faham? Macam mana you nak dapat idea? Okay, macam mana you nak ingat? Itu yang kadang-kadang, minta maaf cakap, during Viva, my experience, bila kita tanya, candidate, sibuk cari slide, dia buka balik thesis dia, dia nak baca thesis dia sendiri. If you understand, you should remember. Ingat level dia, level dia. Remember ni bawah daripada understand. If you understand, you should remember. If you can't remember, meaning you don't understand. Itu mudah. Kalau saya lah jadi examiner, kalau saya tanya dia, sekejap Prof, saya nak cari slide dia muka surat berapa. No. Saya selalu cakap, kalau saya macam tu daripada kandidat, saya cakap ke dia, no. Forget about your slide, forget about your thesis. I want to listen from you. What's in your mind? What do you understand by OT? Okay? Itu menunjukkan sama ada dia dah faham, dia dah ingat, dia dah faham, dia boleh apply, dia boleh analyze, dia boleh evaluate, dia boleh create. Jadi of course model learning to think to learn ni punya cerita daripada Bloom lah. Tapi this is the tools that we used. Okay, now moving on. Right? Okay, ni saya dah cakap tadi. Okay, a quick revision. You remember, you understand, you can apply, you analyze, you boleh evaluate, and then only you can create. Barulah jumpa novelty tu. Okay, faham proses pemikiran ini. Okay, now moving on, kita dah 10 lebih ni, nak take a break dulu ke apa ke? Semangat lagi semua orang. Okay, Arobia, boleh terus ke nak take 5?
Move on tu kot Prof, sebab kita ada 2 jam je, bukannya 3 jam.
Alright, saya move on. Now, supervision rather than supervisors. Okay, apa maksud dia di sini? Okay. So in the topic of supervision, okay, kita sebagai supervisee atau kalau kita sebagai supervisor yang kat luar sana yang tengah dengar ni, okay, mode mana you pakai? Ingat kita semalam pun masa hari akademia kita cerita, okay, akademia guru ni dia boleh jadi mudarris, dia boleh jadi muallim, dia boleh jadi murabbi, dia boleh jadi muaddib, dia boleh jadi mursyid. Okay, Itu istilah agama atau istilah Arabnya. Kalau istilah yang konvensionalnya, you nak jadi mentor ke, you nak jadi coach ke, you nak jadi facilitator ke, you nak jadi sponsor. Ni saya sebut yang ujung ni, Prof kenapa sponsor ni, sebab apa? Bila student, Prof saya dah dapat paper dipublish, jurnal mana? Berapa yurannya? Ni Prof, ini $500 US. Grant tak ada. Siapa nak sponsor? Siapa nak keluar duit? Okay, because this is the reality. Okay, when we are doing research in universities ataupun di mana saja, okay, contoh equipment, kadang-kadang berlaku. Okay, student tak ada software tu, student tak ada laptop tu. Okay, kalau kita ada grant, okay fine, fair enough. Kalau grant tak ada, where do we get the fund? Okay, this is where saya kata sebagai penyelia, okay, dia kena mentor, dia kena coach, dia kena facilitate, dan at time dia kena sponsor. Okay, this is the reality. Kita pula sebagai supervisor, okay, if supervisor kita tak mentor kita, macam mana? Supervisor kita tak coach kita, macam mana? Supervisor kita tak facilitate kita, macam mana? Supervisor kita buat tak tahu je, macam mana? Right. So you have to work around things to make sure that this process happen. Okay, saya move on. Okay, masa tak mencemburi ni. Okay, saya tak nak cerita lah dari segi detail dia. Tetapi if the supervisor is doing their role, okay, as a mentor, then the supervisor should be encouraging the candidate to publish. Okay, bagi supervisor saya share this slide, okay, bukan apa, so that you know the expectation. Okay, as a supervisor, okay, you need encouragement to publish. Kalau supervisor tak bagi, kawan-kawan kena bagi. Okay, dia masalahnya bila kita buat PhD lah, contohnya dah 4 tahun, dah 5 tahun kan, soalan yang kita tak nak orang tanya kita, okay, dah submit belum? Dia kena timbul soalan dah submit tu macam Allah nak gantung diri. Okey? Azhar kata 4 perlu. Ya, 4 perlu. In fact lebih daripada tu lagi. Bukan sakat sponsor pergi conference ke, sponsor bayar conference fee. Kadang-kadang tanya juga supervisor, dah makan ke belum? Ni kalau saya lah ada international student kan, tanya lagi. Ni sekarang duduk kat mana? Okay, ada duit tidak? Tu pun kita pocketkan kita cari pula sponsor lain. Baru ni cerita betul juga, baru dalam seminggu ni ada anak PA saya tak ada laptop. Tu saya tukang cari sponsor. Siapa nak sponsor dia? Alhamdulillah ada tukang Allah seorang ni dermawan belikan laptop dia. Tu kerja kita lah sebagai PA pula. Pegang PA. Supervisor pun sama juga. Kena cari tukang sponsor. Now, as a mentor, we need to encourage publication, encourage networking. Okay, ingat remember our candidate ataupun our anak supervisor ni kemungkinan besar, as some of you are out there in the industry, you are a key person in the industry. Okay, some of you are planning to become an academic. Okay, kita sebagai supervisor, we need to encourage them how to network. Okay, how to network. Contoh sekarang ni lah, macam kita duduk dalam Webex ni. Okay, yang duduk dalam Webex kita sekarang ni ada 133 orang. 133 orang. How do we network 133 ni? Because why? 133 ni are all assets for us. Okay? So kalau lah contohnya saya tengah buat research, saya akan tengok yang tengah attend talk Prof Shahrin ni ada tak yang saya boleh approach dan minta tolong. Saya buat research ni, actually Prof PM Dr. Rupiah boleh tolong saya. Okay? Dapatkan email dia, okay, approach dia, hantar WhatsApp kat dia dan sebagainya. Supervisor kena encourage. Kita supervisor pula, one of the requirement, you need to network. Jangan duk harap kat supervisor you saja. Ada tak lecturer lain kat FTMK ni yang boleh kita dapatkan sumbernya? Okey, contoh dalam grup, kalau saya lah dalam grup research saya, of course research saya dalam bidang apa namanya security. Okey, saya start kat sini. Ada orang lain tak yang pernah buat model ni? Oh, saya buat mobile. Ada tak dalam grup ni orang yang terror mobile? Oh, Dr. Zaki buat mobile dulu dengan Prof Shahrin. Okey, saya nak approach dia. So that's where networking is important. Jadi tidak, janganlah kita sekarang dah tak ada idea, duduk kat rumah dah lah zaman COVID ni tak boleh keluar kan. Duduk sampai sakit kepala, migraine, makan Panadol, okey tak? No, cari. Okay, helps with seminar, conference and presentation. Sebab tu kadang-kadang bila orang buat zaman Webex, saya guna istilah zaman Webex pula. Zaman pandemik ni, okey, memang banyak talk macam ni. Free, tak kena bayar. Okey, attend. Tanya, approach. Best lah Prof tu cakap begini-begini, doktor tu cerita macam ni, best lah, no, approach them. Ask for help. Tanya dia, doktor boleh tak kalau saya nak minta tolong? Being an academic, you approach siapa sajalah kalau dia true academic, dia menjiwai peranan dia sebagai seorang ahli akademik, dia akan tolong awak. Okay, dia akan cakap, okay, you cari paper ni, you pergi conference ni bagus, you boleh publish kat sini. Okay, ni conference ni senang kalau you nak get accepted. Dia akan bantu awak. Saya lah cakap saya. Okay, out there are academics who are sincere in their life. They will do whatever to help you to the fullest extent. Okay, so that's why networking is important. Okay, in fact, the proper supervisor will even assist you in your career goal. Okay, kalau saya lah, saya akan tanya, awak lepas habis master ni awak nak buat apa? Okay, awak nak, okay, or you want to work, okay, fine. Alright, okay, build your CVs. Okay, ni tulis ni dalam projek ni awak guna ni. This is you put it this in dia akan bantu kita sampai nak buat CV pun. Okay, sebagai supervisor pula, this is part of our duties. Okay, how do you coach? Okay, how do you coach? And how do you be a coachee? Kita supervisee, we are also a coachee. Okay, orang yang di coach. Okay, helping student nak cari apa? Nak buat. Dia tak, kita suruh kata, ni saya cerita pengalaman saya lah. Ada supervisor, pengalaman saya di UK lah. Kita pergi jumpa dia kan. Okay, kita kata, Prof, I still can't understand. Dia punya ayat standard je. Go back and read some more. Tu kalau setengah supervisor yang dajal macam tu lah. Minta maaf saya guna ayat macam tu lah. No. You just go back, get some papers and read some more. Kalau kita nak jadi supervisor yang macam tu, boleh. Okay, I've gone through that experience. Okay, why? Because if you read further, you read some more, of course you will find the answer. But it will be a lengthy process. Jadi kita kalau sebagai supervisor, janganlah torture. Mungkin dulu supervisor kita buat macam tu, janganlah kita buat supervisor kita macam tu. Okay, kita kata, dulu aku tak ada pun supervisor aku buat macam tu. Jangan. Okay, saya guna ayat macam ni. Dulu zaman saya, contoh saya lah, besar zaman tak ada elektrik, pakai pelita, pakai lampu gas. Takkan kita nak anak kita pun pakai lampu gas. Okay, dulu kita kena rotan mandi sungai. Takkan kita pun sama nak rotan anak kita. Okay, guna teknik yang berbeza. Supervisor pun sama. Okay. When you supervisor, contohlah supervisor dia macam saya lah, kerana saya melatih. Okay, saya dulu tak ada pun, you buat sendiri je lah. Okay, understand. Okay, understand your supervisor, how he or she is. Okay, work around it. Macam saya kata tadi lah, you tak boleh dapat dengan dia, you tengok research group dia siapa ada lagi. TMK ni ada 800 lah. Kita berapa puluh, dekat 80 orang ketujuhnya akademiknya. Okay, boleh approach. Kita nak cari idea on soft computing. Cari Dr. Azhar contoh. Kita nak cari idea on mathematical modelling. Prof Samad dah dekat sini dah. Tak apa, email kat dia. Okay, insyaAllah he will try to help. Okay, so coming back to being a coachee and being a coach. Okay, even the planning, the revision of project, okay, the critical aspect of the research. Okay, this is the most important part. Okay, bila kita belajar sebagai seorang supervisor, okay, you will explore and try. As a supervisor, okay, there are at times you need to coach, you guide, tapi there are at times kita kena directive. Directive macam mana? Kita no, it's time for you to submit. Cukup. Ini berlaku pada saya. Contoh, saya punya supervisor saya, dia nak buat lagi. Saya kata dah cukup. Tak payah buat dah semua ni. Compile everything, okay, produce a thesis, put everything in chapter 2 and 3, yang lain ni tinggalkan. Okay. There are at times, sometimes you need to be very firm. As a supervisor pula sama, saya pengalaman sendiri. Supervisor saya kata, no, Shahrin, you need to do some more. Saya beritahu dengan dia, Prof, I think I've done. My scholarship will finish by July, whether you like it or not, I'm going to submit. So this is yang saya kata tadi, the relationship between supervisor and supervisor. But you need to know apa yang kena selesai tu. Okay? There are times supervisor kena firm, there are times supervisor pula kena firm. Okay? Provided understand what you're doing. Jangan kita tak faham betul kita buat, memang kita lawan pula supervisor kita tak tahu pasal. Jangan. Itu cari penyakit namanya. Alright. Now moving on, okay. Progressing and facilitator yang saya kata tadi, okay, mode-nya juga adalah facilitator. Okay, kita ingat, okay, dia kena monitor kita. Kita pula sebagai supervisor kena bagi report. Okay, Prof, saya dah sampai sini. Prof, saya dah submit di sana. Prof, saya ada kuliah di sana, saya akan present paper saya. Begitu. Prof, saya dah dapat ni. Okay. Jadi, these are two ways. Negotiating availability and initiating contact. Contoh. Okay, nak jumpa-jumpa tak dapat. Nak jumpa-jumpa tak dapat. Maklumlah contoh supervisor dia naik Tesla, mana nak jumpa. Okay, tapi ada supervisor. So this is how you initiate contact and how you work with each other. Alright, now so devoting sufficient time to student. Yang ini yang tough berapa? Memang kita sebagai supervisor kena allocate time. Supervisor pula macam mana? You have to demand time. Okay, call. PM Dr. Robia, can I see you? I need 15 minutes of your time. Boleh tak? Okay, call. PM Robia kata, okay, no problem. I can allocate 15 minutes of my time to be with you. But make sure that 15 minutes is betul-betul productive 15 minutes. Okay, what do you want to get from your supervisor? What advice do you want to get from him or her? Bagi beritahu siap-siap. So this is where the two-way relationship tadi works. Okay, sebab tu saya bagi contoh awal tu, supervisor dengan supervisor ni macam husband and wife. Wife dia beli gelang baru, pandai dah dia bodek kan, masak dulu ke benda ke. Husband pun sama, nak beli contohnya, nak beli kamera baru ke, nak beli kereta baru, wife tak nak, wife kata, okay, how do you work out? So in terms of kita as a supervisor and a supervisor pun sama. Okay, so how do we work that relationship, how do we facilitate and how do we move forward? Ini saya dah cerita tadi. As a sponsor, ingat as a sponsor, semalam pun saya dalam grup saya kita dapat seorang budak LI. Okay, of course lah saya tanya Dr. Zaki, ni duduk kat mana ni? Meja mana nak pakai ni? Bilik mana ada tak? Okay, dia ada laptop tak? Tanya pula kandidat. Awak ada laptop Ada laptop. Lepas tu Dr. Zaki, laptop dia 4 GB bro. Okay. Mana? Oh, kita ada dapat ke? Kita dapat itu sponsor. Alhamdulillah Prof. Rabia ada kan kita baik dengan cyber security. Dapat 10. Okay, lagi. Maksud saya being a sponsor, okay, semua tu dalam ruang lingkup as a sponsor. Okay, memastikan bahawa anak didik kita ada resources. Okay, tanya ini buat apa yang awak pakai ni? UTeM kita ada license. Kita ada blanket license daripada kementerian. Okay, gunakan awak punya tu login, guna 365 tu awak boleh download, awak boleh install. Contoh. Okay, so keep students understanding, termasuk juga dalam mode sponsor ni, understanding the procedure, policies. Dia tak tahu mana nak submit, orang nak cek ke mana, kita tolong carikan, guidekan dia kat mana dan sebagainya. Okay, termasuklah jadi mode sponsor tadi, tukang bayar conference dan sebagainya. Okay, saya moving on, kalau tak habis, dah 10.25. Okay, so these are the things that sometimes influence the supervision. Why? Ingat tadi saya kata, kita sebagai kandidat, okay, in going through this process, okay, you need to understand the thing that circumvent how we are being supervised. Okay, termasuklah di situ disiplin pedagogi. Kita bidang IT. Dalam IT kita ni pula kita mencapai. Soalan ke?
ما يزيلان يلا مو عجيب قرار يعني سمعة لا يلا الكذب من أحد شيء لارده ليش المبادئ لارده موضوعنا على خاص وسندي سي من شرحين ينفلن موضوعه
PM Robia tolong saya tak sempat nak cakap. Okay, thank you. Alright, coming back to this. Okay, we need to understand, macam saya kata tadi lah, maknanya ingat supervisor and supervisee, you are in a relationship. Okay, you need to assess relationship saya ni okay ke tidak, are we in a good mood, how's our house. Yang ni kena faham juga. Okay, saya nak contohkan tadi, kita FTMK ni kita ada bidang media, kita ada bidang game, kita ada bidang security, kita ada bidang network, kita ada bidang software, macam-macam. And each of the sub-discipline culture-nya berbeza-beza. That's why sometimes when you are doing research, you kena ada co-supervisor. Okay, contoh. You buat security, tapi security you pakai AI. Okay, so of course maybe you main supervisor orang security, tapi your co-supervisor kena cari orang AI. Alright, so you need to understand the culture in research in security macam mana. Orang AI ni macam mana culture dia. Okay, so that's why you need to understand the disciplinary punya pedagogi macam mana, departmental practices kita ATMK macam mana, conceptual approach supervisor kita ni. Kena check supervisor aku ni dulu grade mana. Oh, dia grade Jepun. Style Jepun lah kena ikut. Okay, kita sebagai supervisor kena faham. Okay, supervisor pula kena faham. Supervisor dia work both ways. Code of practice. Okay, kita of course dalam IT ni kita bukan engineer. Okay, walaupun di Australia software engineer adalah engineer. Right, but you need to understand. Okay, within the code of practice, what is the acceptable practice? Kita tengah nak buat security ni, apa standard yang ada? Kita tengah buat software development, apa standard yang ada? Apa ISO yang ada? Okay, our work Is it within that domain? Kena fulfill that the standard requirement by the industry, by the standard, kena ada. Okay, of course. Okay, kalau kita full time student, kita part time student, expectation ni berbeza. Okay, the role of kita sebagai international student, home student, semua tu akan memberi kesan kepada mood pengajaran. Okay, ni saya rasa saya skip dulu yang ni. Saya tak ulas yang ni. Right? Okay, saya just go straight kepada yang ini. Okay, tadi Dr. Rosbiza tanya, Puan Rosbiza tanya dengan saya chapter 3, saya cerita chapter 2 dulu. Okay, so when you are doing your literature, okay, ingat saya ni nota lama, so minta maaf lah, reference pun semua sudah basi. Tapi tak apa, ada lagi boleh cari. Okay, saya kata mode sekarang ni orang yang famous ni of course SLR. There are a lot of other techniques kat sana. Okay, kalau saya rajin, dulu kadang-kadang saya guide juga, tunjuk ke student macam mana nak search, macam mana cari, macam mana nak bypass, apa Google search punya keyword yang kita boleh guna dan sebagainya. Okay, down. So in literature search, okay, yang ini nak kata standard juga lah. Some techniques yang ada dulu. Ada functional approach, qualities approach, ada critical thinking punya teknik, ada enculturation, punya teknik, mentoring, and also feminist. Yang last tu yang pelik sikit bunyinya, feminist approach. Okay, tapi apa yang saya nak katakan di sini, when you are looking for literature, ni minta maaf saya cakap, okay, of late, right? Bila saya nilai, in fact saya ada attend a few talks, right? Saya nak cakap pun saya rasa sebab. There are supervisors, okay, there are researchers out there, bila dia buat paper, dia kata okey tak apa, ambil aja ayatnya, ambil aja reference yang ada dekat jurnal tu, paper tu, okey, kita rujuk supaya kita punya secondary sources, ambil masuk dalam thesis dia. Okey, saya guna ayat anak-anak lah. Anak-anak ni, paper yang dia rujuk tu, dia tak cari pun, dia tak baca pun. Okay. Dia suka-suka hati ambil, ni saya cerita betul lah yang berlaku di fakulti kita ni. Okay. Ambil, buat reference, letak dalam chapter 1, letak dalam chapter 2, suka-suka hati. Paper tu cerita lain, ayat dia lain, tapi jadikan sebagai reference. Okay. Saya guna ayat beginilah. Studentnya tak beretika, kalau betul lah supervisor dia suruh buat, supervisor pun tak beretika. Tuan-tuan, kita nak rujuk satu paper, kita nak quote satu paper, nak sebut nama orang ni. Cari dulu papernya, paling tidak baca abstraknya. Tapi yang lebih baiknya, baca papernya, hadamkan. Orang tu cerita apa? Ni tak, orang tu cerita langit, dia refer cerita bumi. Of course, kalau macam saya ni, kalau saya menilai, saya jadi internal examiner, saya tak akan baca, you ada 200 reference tu, saya tak akan baca semua. Tapi saya ni jenis, macam mana jenis saya ni, kalau saya menilai, orang lain baca abstract dulu. Of course, abstract kena baca. Okay, satu kena baca. Tapi saya ni jenis, baca padilah kamsah, nak kenal orang tu, tengok kasutnya. Boleh kan? Kalau saya nak kenal thesis, saya tengok reference ni dulu. Saya akan selak. Kalau 200 saya tengok. Okay, pakai mandalay tak cukup sifat mandalay tu kau dah sumbat dalam thesis kau. Okay, minta maaf cakap, saya pun supervisor, kadang saya pun tak tengok in detail, saya pun guilty party. Tapi nak cakapkan di sini adalah bila kita buat literature betul-betul. Ingat tadi yang macam saya kata, okay, mana nak datang idea? Idea datang dari segi bacaan. Kalau you senaraikan 200 literature, pastikan you dah baca semua 200 tu. Sampai saya ada student tanya saya, Prof, betul kena baca? Ya, itulah makna reference. Kalau you baca buku tu, kalau you reference book chapter, you dah baca chapter tu. Saya tak pasti kalau orang sana dengar saya macam pelik. Betul ke Prof ni cakap kena baca? Ya, kena baca. Okay? Bukan setakat baca, kena faham. Bukan setakat kena faham, kena nilai. Bukan setakat kena nilai, kena synthesize. Ingat tadi 3 benda tu? Ini tidak tuan-tuan minta maaf cakap. Contoh chapter 2 dia buat cross tabulation. Cross tabulation dia datang daripada paper orang lain. Okay, yang dah buat cross tabulation, yang dah buat comparative analysis. Okay, orang tu dah quote katalah ada 60 paper, 50 paper, dia pun sama sumbat dalam chapter 2 dia. Okey, seolah-olah dia yang buat. Tapi bukan dia yang buat. Kenapa kita tahu bukan dia yang buat? Bila saya, contohlah saya jadi penilai, bila saya tanya, dia tak boleh jawab. Kalau dia boleh, kalau dia yang buat analisis, dia yang buat cross step, dia yang buat comparative analysis, dia mesti boleh jawab. Okay, this is where coming back to literature. When you do literature, do it properly, do it ethically, do it professionally. Okay, jangan main tangkap muat. Okay, ambil thesis orang, dia ada reference, ambil cut dia, kita pun sumbat dalam mandalay kita pun generate. No. Okay, kalau you buat macam tu, you lepas, you dapatlah PhD, minta maaf saya cakap PhD you separuh masak. Okay, because you have not gone through the process, you will not have the ability, ingat ability to solve the complex problem scientifically, okay, and professionally. Itu dia. Alright, coming back to the literature research, okay, ada banyak teknik, saya tak boleh nak cover semua. Dekat sini saya cuma certain forms of tabulation. Okay, cuma nak katakan bahawa okay, dalam konsep of supervision ni saya skip lah. Dari segi functional approach ni, okay, dari segi supervisor dan supervisee tadi terkait dengan literature ni tadi, okay, yang itu yang you kena bagi deadline nya. Okay, functional, macam mana functional? Okay, kena contoh 3 bulan ni kena selesai, 6 bulan ni kena dapat ni. Okay, buat summary, panjangnya begini-begini. Ambil 5 paper tiap-tiap minggu, okay. Kalau full time students 5 days a week, 5 paper, 1 hari 1 paper. By the end of the week, you summarize semua 5 paper. Alright, kata supervisor saya tak suruh buat macam tu. Tak apa, kalau supervisor tak suruh buat, that's one of the technique. Kalau you di peringkat awal, ingat expectation in thesis PhD, dia ada certain number of words yang expected for you to write. There are certain number of references yang you kena ada. Ingat kat ujung tu, you kena ada at least 150 to 100, sometimes lebih. Kalau less tu tak cukup. Okay, you nak cover tu, bahasa bila you nak cover? Bila you nak baca? Peringkat awal. Dan satu lagi saya tekankan agak. Okay, yang mana berlaku? Pada student saya pun berlaku, pada student lain berlaku, bila saya menilai pun berlaku. You start off your PhD in 2018. You completed in 2021. Okay, by the time you submit, your literature only up to 2018. You cover 2019, 2020, 2021 adalah ciput sikit-sikit. Okay, because your thesis is a living thesis until you finish your submission. By the time you submit, you have to make sure that you also cover literature, work, research other people done. Walaupun you start your PhD in 2018, kena masuk juga 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021. Okay, sparingly, paling tidak ada sikit-sikit. Okay, jadi coming back to this functional approach. Okay, kalau supervisor you tak buat approach you boleh approach your supervisor using this approach. Okay, anchor nak sebut pun tergiat lidah dah. Okay, to culturalize ni, what you need to do, contoh, ni, bagi contoh, tunjuk. Okay, bagikan sampel, right, akhirnya akan tercapai. Okay, critical thinking, ni saya kena challenge. Tuan-tuan, ingat saya kata tadi, dalam mode kita membuat PhD ini, okay, ada banyak thinking skills. Okay, kalau tuan-tuan minat, cari bacaannya, tengok macam mana nak buat. Macam mana, how to think conceptually, how to think critically. And the critical thinking ni salah satu tempatnya. Tuan-tuan ingat saya tak sentuh tadi. Okay, when you do your PhD, okay, manusia Allah anugerahkan kita, we are given by God Almighty, okay, a brain. Okay, but our brain ni has two sides, the left side and the right side. Okay, I have to explain. Okay, you nak subscribe to this or no mute, kita maaf. Okay, nak katakan apa? Okay, bila you analyze, otak mana you pakai? Bila you synthesize, otak belah mana you pakai? So this is where when you are doing your PhD, you need to balance, okay, how your brain work. Itu yang kadang-kadang minta maaf saya cakap betul ni, bila buat PhD ni sakit kepala. Why sakit kepala? Because you are really pushing your brain to the limit, to the extent of you are encroaching the brain domain that you have never used before. Contoh, how to have a good synthesis. Yang ni yang tuan-tuan, anak-anak semua, adik-adik, abang-abang, kakak semua, when you go into critical thinking mode, then you will start that side of the brain. When you synthesize, okay, you need to have the global picture, the conceptual thinking, you need to move to the right side of your brain. Barulah dapat tadi, kalau kita dah buat, kita akan dapat idea yang kita nak. Okay, so emancipation ni saya tak nak cerita ni lah. Okay, relationship ni tadi saya dah cerita. Okay, saya dah cerita between you as a supervisee and the supervisor. Okay, macam juga when you are in a marriage, okay, that relationship kalau you tak kalau dia tidak dibajai, okay, dia akan makin lama makin kering. Sama lah juga between kita, contoh saya lah, between myself as a supervisor and supervisee. Okay, kita contoh dia sakit, okay, tanya khabar bapa sebelah sihat pak, gitulah. Because you need to develop that sense of empathy between you as a supervisor and supervisee. Sama juga supervisee. Okay, when you know contoh your supervisor is not well, the wife is not well, kucing ni mati ke apa ke, tanya khabar how's the family, how's the wife, because why you need to develop. Nah, yang itulah dalam mood tu dia need to enthuse. Kena bagi semangat. Supervisor kena bagi semangat kat supervisee. Okay, bagi motivasi. Oh best lah Prof ni cakap, semangat saya. You need to do that. Kita sebab supervisor. When was the last time you motivate your supervisee? Okay, yang kata-kata semangat, jangan putus asa, cuba lagi, tak apa, paper ni tak accepted, tak apa, saya dulu lagi banyak tak dapat. Okay, now kita work for the next one. Now, to enthuse is important. Okay, supervisor juga, okay, kena altruistic. Jangan kedekut ilmu, jangan kedekut duit. Okay, kedekut idea kadang-kadang supervisor ni. Biarlah dia susah, tak apa. Aku dulu pun susah juga, biar dia susah. Jangan, okay, tolong dia. Okay, enthuse and encourage, kadang dua benda yang berbeza. Recognize achievement. Okay, kadang-kadang kita as supervisor kan, paper dah publish. Okay, supervisor buat tak faham je kan, Okay, supervisor kat luar sana, okay, congratulate your supervisor, tahniah, bagi dia thumbs up kan, bagi dia yang tu, yang power tu, yang flare banyak tu, bagus, okay, good job, okay, do some more. Kadang-kadang kita lupa. Macam juga dalam relationship family kan. Okay, wife pun naik pangkat ke kan, ataupun husband pun naik pangkat balik rumah kan, yang dapat promotion, partner kita buat dia je kan, tak nak celebrate pun, okay, tak nak masak special pun, okay, tak nak bagi apa pun dah. So recognize achievement. Yang last tu disebut sebagai pastoral support. Ini istilah orang putih, pastoral support. Kalau yang semalam yang siapa dengar talk saya dalam Hari Akademia, yang ni yang kerjanya murabbi dan mursyid. Support, pastoral support. Okay, important as intellectual support to get through. Kena bagi cerita yang philosophical tu, kena cerita. Okay, saya tak nak cerita ni kan, yang tak habis talk kita ni saya dah 10.40. Okay, tak apa. Okay, ni saya cerita. So this is the problem that student face. Okay, the supervisors punya view. Kenapa saya nak kena cerita ni? Sebagai supervisor kena faham tak? Okay, sometimes the supervisor kata supervisor too dependent. Semua benda nak tanya. Ini semua je lah, generasi millennium ni semua nak makan suap. Kalau kita tak bagi, dia tak dapat. Dia kata betul juga, supervisor saya, bukan supervisor lah, saya banyak nak PA saya, dia nak register, tak dapat nak register, sampai saya terpaksa minta password dia masuk dalam sistem, login kan, register kan. Itulah anak zaman sekarang. Okay, kenapa? Saya pun sama kat rumah pun ada anak macam tu. Okay, jadi cerita dependency ni is a problem because why? As a PhD candidate, you need to be independent. Part of criteria of doing a PhD is the ability to independently work and solve a problem scientifically. Saya duduk banyak kali ayat tu. Ability to do independent work. So nak tak nak, you have to demonstrate you can independently work on the problem and come up with the solutions. Bukan idea orang, bukan tanya orang, bukan tempik orang, idea kita sendiri. So this is why dependency is not good. Okay, there are at times you can be dependent, but you have to demonstrate that independent quality that you should have. Okay, not admitting the problem, poor progress, supervisors not interested in topic, conceptual difficulty, differences between supervisors. That one you need to work out. Okay, so yang ini yang kita kena work out. Saya tak boleh nak cerita panjang sangat-sangat. Okay, the student point of view pula. Okay, these are the problems that student face. Okay, tak ada orang nak cakap. Itu contohlah yang masa kita buat penilaian, saya ada seorang kandidat lah. Bila kita tu, dia rasa lega. Why? Because why? finally she can share the problem with somebody else. Lega kepala sebab dah cerita. Problem belum solve lagi. Okay, tapi the fact that the problem is shared with somebody else, dah rasa hilang semua beban. So this is again another important. Okay, sebagai supervisor, listen to your supervisor's problem. Sebagai supervisee, share your problem with someone else. Okay, could be your colleagues, could be your friends, could be supervisors. Okay, Rama said there's problem in sound. Orang lain dengar ke ataupun they can't hear me?
Okey je,
Boleh dengar
tak ada sound.
Boleh. Okay, Rama could be your line. I'm sorry. Okay, if you can't hear me well, maybe try to get the recording later on. Inshallah, we will share with you. Jalan ni recording ni saya tak check ni yang berapa ya? Tolong check. Okay, coming back to the problem. Loneliness, not enjoying the topic. Ni pun sama Sometimes you do not enjoy the topic because balik pada tadi, the motivation. Why are you doing the PhD? Why are you doing this research? Why do you select this topic? Do you understand the topic? That's why saya kata tadi, the supervisor need to motivate the supervisee. Okay, the supervisee pula, you need to get the sources of motivation. Okay, motivation ingat ni ada dua motivation ada dua. Extrinsic. Yang extrinsic ni datang pada orang. Husband kata, oh yang ni PhD buat lagi ni, you should have it, continue. Tapi external ni, extrinsic motivation ni tak tahan lama. Dia hilang, kita habis. So kepada yang tengah buat research, you need to create this intrinsic motivation. Yang kat dalam ni, sumber dalaman. Mana dah dapat punca ni? Supaya kita rasa minat, rasa bersemangat, rasa nak buat lagi, nak teruskan. Oh dah habis PhD ni, nak buat PhD satu lagi. Tak apa, saya ada kawan seorang tu memang dia ada 2 PhD. Tak apa. If you have that one, buat tak ada masalah, Okay? Tapi there are also other practical issues. Issue doing, lifestyle, macam-macam. Technical problem, okay, rumah saya memang langsung tak ada line wifi, tak ada unify, tak ada segala file semua tak ada. Okay, ada 3G ni aja. Okay, 4G pun tak ada. How do you solve this problem? Okay? There are also sometimes ethical issues. Macam mana saya cakap I have to say this. Okay? Because kita di UTeM ni pun dah ada case. Okay, sometimes the supervisee cross the border, sometimes the supervisor cross the border ethically. Okay. Kadang-kadang dia melangkau, kadang-kadang ada sexual pun ada. Harassment berlaku. Ni. Kalau betul berlaku, you have to bring this forward. Okay, yang supervisee lah contoh. Dia tipe supervisor ni lain macam je kan. Baik lain macam je kan. Ajak keluar. Saya nak bincang malam je. Alamak. Kan? So you need to alert. If this happen, you need to draw a line professionally. I raise this problem because it happened. It has already happened. And it can still happen. Okay? Dalam WhatsApp, tiba-tiba WhatsApp supervisor ni lain macam pula kan. Hantar ikon lain macam pula. Okay? Joke aside, this happened. Okay? It had happened. It can happen again. Okay. Now, kalau berlaku, mana nak lari? Mana nak cari? That's why kita ada jawatan kuasa di UTeM ni. Kita ada Dr. Zahira, kita ada PM Dr. Robia yang look into this. Kita ada ketua jabatan, kita ada Timbalan Dekan Penyelidikan, kita ada dekan. Okay, we have the rank of professors yang ada kat FTMK ni, ada 8 orang. You can approach, you have the associate professors, you have the group research. Okay, jangan simpan problem tu seseorang. Okay, if it happen, okay, raise it up. Kita boleh selesaikan. Okay, jangan rasa terhimpit. Okay, supervisor pula kata, kalau awak tak buat macam ni, awak tak jumpa saya untuk malam sekarang kat lab, okay, saya tak akan supervise awak. Oi, jangan. Okay, raise the alert, raise the alarm. Okay, because why? We are talking about professional development. Okay, if there are issues that transgress certain areas and domain and border, please raise the flag. Supervisor pula, jangan banyak tonye pula kan. Nampak mentang-mentang lah supervisor tu dahi berkilat sikit kan. Kita pun dah lain macam dah, naik minyak dan sebagainya. Okay, draw the line professionally. That's why when you supervise, kalau saya lah jumpa supervisor perempuan ke apa kan, buka pintu bilik, jangan tutup. Okay, ingat kalau kita duduk berdua, ada orang ketiga lagi yang tukang bisik tu. Right, buka pintu. Okay, kadang-kadang kita ada kawan ni zaman COVID, ramai orang tak ada ke office, cari an open area that people can see you if you want to spend a lot of time. Kalau tak, paling tidak pun buka pintu bilik, buka. Yang supervisor perempuan pun sama. Kalau anak didik kita lelaki, okay, jangan timbul fitnah. Okay, because berlaku di UTeM ni ada Yang lecturer lelaki kahwin dengan anak murid dia, lecturer perempuan kahwin dengan anak murid, semua berlaku. Okay, so make sure, saya tak kata tu salah, you can be properly dah berlaku pun. Cuma saya nak kata, if that's going to happen, okay, make sure you draw the line properly. Okay, lack of confidence ini kadang-kadang student dia rasa paper dia not to the quality, nak publish and so on. Alright, ni saya tak nak cerita lah. Tapi nak ceritakan juga pada supervisor, saya sentuh sikit lah. Kalaulah kita ni memang anak sulung, faham istilah saya anak sulung? Okay, dia tak ada lagi student yang dia dah graduate kan. Okay, kita kena faham lah, aku ni anak sulung. Right, jadi kena faham apa yang kita kena buat. Macam kat rumah juga, bila anak sulung ni independensi dia lebih sikit. Dia kena jadi macam ketua sikit. Sama juga, kalau kita supervisor sulung, okay, PhD sulung ni, kita element of independensi tu kena lebih sikit. Okay, so kena understand. Because why kita anak pertama. Okay, itu cerita supervisor kita anak sulung. Kalau kena macam saya pula, supervisor dah tua ranyut untuk otai ni, masalah lain pula. Okay, pun kena faham juga dengan masalah-masalah ni. We have to understand the environment and we have to pitch into the right form and format. Okay, so ni saya kata lah environmentnya, okay, influences dia yang keliling ni, the topic, the kena faham contohlah saya tanya dekat luar sana, semua orang tahu siapa co-supervisor dia yang tengah buat research ni? Katakan. Hands up dekat participant list. Tahu siapa co-supervisor dia? Soalan seterusnya. Semua orang dah jumpa co-supervisor dia? Dah jumpa co-supervisor dia? Right. Ya, alhamdulillah. Some people have raised your hand. Okay. Of course, the ideal, ni saya kata dalam keluarga bahagia, saya guna ayat macam tu lah. Dalam keluarga bahagia, supervisor akan jemput dia punya co-supervisor, bincang sama-sama dengan supervisor. Itu keluarga bahagia lah tu. Okay, dalam konteks supervisor. Okay, ataupun yang kurang sikit. Okay, lepas jumpa supervisor kata, okay, please go and see your co-supervisor and discuss with him or her. Itu okey lagi lah. Jangan sampai you dah submit dah hantar nama co-supervisor dalam thesis. Co-supervisor tak pernah jumpa pun. Okay? Ada yang tulis surat, alhamdulillah we are happy family. Alhamdulillah, that's good. Okay, we should create this more happy family. Okay, zaman sekarang ni senang. Because one, kita ada WhatsApp, kita ada Teams, kita ada Webex. Okay, you can create that group. Where from the communication between the supervisor to the supervisor, co-supervisor pun tahu. The communication between the supervisor to the co-supervisor, supervisor pun tahu. Okay, berlaku kita di fakulti kita. What in certain area, the co-supervisor is the expert in the area that this candidate buat. Sampai submit, sampai viva, okay, bila examiner boleh detect that the co-supervisor has not contributed. Why? Because if the co-supervisor has been consulted by the supervisor or by the supervisee, the mistake should not have happened. Jadi glaring ni tuan-tuan kadang-kadang malu. Malu kenapa? Kadang-kadang saya internal. Kita ada dua external kadang-kadang. Bila external pun tahu dan supervisor tak rujuk dekat co-supervisor atau supervisee tak tanya pun co-supervisor. Because why? Remember in academia tuan-tuan, we know each other. People is expert in this, people knows this and so on. So tak syok lah bila keluarga kita orang tahu keluarga kita ni mak dengan ayah macam memang tak tidur sekatil. Tak bercakap, mak dengan ayah tak bercakap. Supervisor dengan supervisor tak bincang pun. Okay, sampai orang luar tahu. Yang itu yang tak best. Okay, dah sampai dah hujung ni. From now on, saya remind diri saya sendiri lah. Okay, kalau kita main supervisor atau kita co-supervisor, make sure kita work as a team. Supervisor pula make sure rujuk pada dua ni. Tanya mak, tanya abah. Okay, sampai kita hujung tu, make sure we are a happy family, work together, everybody setuju, kita submit, baru kita submit. Okay, moving on. Okay, banyak pula seperti saya ni, dah nak habis 8 minit je lagi. Tak masuk pun lagi tajuk Rosmiza. Okay, ni saya cerita lah. What should be when you are in a session with your supervisor, apa nak buat, apa nak cakap, semua tu nak kena cerita. Okay, saya tak cerita lah ni. Okay, saya nak ceritakan saya lompat sebab saya nak cover juga yang penting bagi saya kena sentuh intellectual property. Saya dah cerita sikit tadi. Okey, ni tak perlu. Okey, saya cerita sikit di sekitar sini. Okey, so this is where maknanya when you are working on the research degree, as a lot of you are doing, okay, for your PhD or for your masters by research, there are certain processes that memang nak tak nak you have to go through. Okay, jangan sampai tiba-tiba supervisor tak supervise pun, entah mana hilang, mana tak balik ni, when you are away to your home country, in Oman, in UAE, mana suddenly the thesis is ready. Okay, of course there will be certain suspicious of what need to be done. Okay, so this is part of the research degree. Memang reading original document. Okay, issue on computer modeling, experimentation kena ada. Okay, kalau tak ada macam mana nak buat kita punya research berlaku atau tidak. Okay, you have to sift through data anomaly, apa namanya, analyzing the data, interpretation, formulation, writing up, and in preparation of the actual viva, semua kena buat. Okay, so these are the process yang memang kita kena go through, sama ada kita suka ataupun tidak. Okay, saya skip banyak sangat. Okay, right. So this is actually balik pada induction into research, supervisor kena buat, in selection of the topics pun kena buat, whether topic tu doable atau tidak. Okay, kena set the task in getting the feedback. Okay, and coming back, ada 5 minit lagi baru nak cerita research question. Okay, ini talking about final. Okay, whether your problem, your research question is feasible, it is interesting to you or not, is it novel, is it ethical, is it relevant. Okay, ethical ni penting perempuan, sesari. Ingat why I'm saying this, contoh, it happen in our faculty, contoh, when a researcher, okay, dia nak buat, katalah something, saya bagi contoh hidup lah, macam lah, okay, tapi this is the thing that struck me last. Okay, the person is conducting a topic about learning. Okay, dia ada 2 kelas. Researcher ni ada 2 kelas. Ni yang dia supervisor lah, saya terpaksa cakap ni. Supervisor dia pun main buat je. Okay, dia conduct research dalam kelas. Okay, the management faculty pun tak tahu. Apply new technique dalam 2 group. Okay, group tu pun tak tahu dia subject of research. Okay, that's why saya cuma cakap begini. Okay, ethics is important. Okay, when you conduct research, there are some ethical guides that you need to do. There are some official approval that you need to have before you can conduct research. Okay, people who are being a subject of research, they need to know they are the subject of a research that being conducted. Okay, itu elemen ethical. Okay, jadi contohlah, kalau katalah mana yang luar sana subjek ni, ataupun supervisor kita ni, anda cikgu di sekolah, anda nak buat kajian di sekolah pada anak murid. Okay, ingat dia ada isu etikal, anak murid di bawah umur, penjaga dia kena tahu yang anak dia terlibat dalam penyelidikan tertentu yang kita nak buat. Survey kita buat nak tanya soalan pelik-pelik ni nanti, anak murid tu distress dan sebagainya. Itu semua isu etikal. Okay, yang kena diselesaikan dalam kita melaksanakan research. Tapi nak balik pada research question tadi, these are paling dia ada rule set lain lah. Tapi yang ni yang mudah yang tuan-tuan kena ingat, short form ni final ni, it has to be feasible. Kalau tak boleh buat, ada memang, saya pun ada student tu, dia nak buat macam-macam, satu dunia dia nak selesaikan. Kita tak ada, itu nanti also dah habis PhD awak buat lah. Okay, untuk research PhD awak ni buat yang ni saja cukup. Okay, this is sufficient. Okay, novel enough, heavy enough for a PhD. Tuan-tuan, dalam feasible ni, saya selalu bagi analogi. Saya kata, if you have a camel to sacrifice, okay, cukup nak buat korban, seekor unta, good, you have one big camel for your topic, for your research question. Good enough. You cannot get a camel, tak apa. Camel, unta boleh ganti dengan lembu, kerbau. Okay, you get a buffalo, you get a cow. Okay, that's enough for you to sacrifice. Okay, as your research topic for your PhD. But, oh tak ada, tak dapat juga lembu seekor ni. Tak apa, kita ganti dengan kambing. Okay, tapi berapa ekor kambing kena cari untuk ganti seekor lembu? Okay, so this is what I mean actually. If you can't get one big novelty, tak apa, there are a few small novelty that you have, put it together to become katalah framework, a process, a technique that is enough for a PhD. Okay, maybe tuan kata, Prof, kambing pun tak ada. Saya kata, kalau kambing pun tak ada, berapa ekor ayam kau ada? Okay, so maybe you may not get something big enough, but something small, sufficient. Tapi ingat saya kata, novel enough that you put together, maybe it comprises, dia tak cover semua. Maybe it's part of the tools, it's part of the method, it's part of the analysis. You put together, okay, this is enough for a PhD. Itu yang saya kata tadi, balik pada cerita feasible, okay, make sure it is up to the mark of what a PhD should be. Jangan sampai you buat ni, you makan masa 12 tahun, 7 tahun. Ingat, your target 3 years boleh buat. 3 years tu bukan buat research, 3 years tu dah siap semua. Dah conduct eksperimen, collect data, analyze, tulis, submit. Okay, tapi kalau tak dapat juga, okay, at least work within 3 to 5 years. Kalau you part time, double, 3 to 6 years. Okay, that is what we meant by feasible. Interesting ni yang tadilah kalau you dah terajak, sekarang tengah buat research, macam mana pun tak minat. Okay, you need to create that interest. Tapi bagi yang baru nak start ni, make sure you pick something memang you passionate nak buat. Ingat tadi, nak motivate, you have to, of course, the supervisor kena tolong motivate, tapi more so important, you need to self-motivate. You need to self-motivate. That's why you need to find a topic which is interesting. Ni ingatan pada supervisor pula. Okay, sama juga macam anak kat rumah, anak tu minat nak buat psikologi, tak, dia suruh anak buat doktor juga. Okay, nanti anak dia ni kes yang berlaku kawan saya dekat UTeM, kes betul, anak dia buat doctorate in medical, habis degree medical dia pergi kat mak dia, mak nah, this is degree you want for me, okay, I finish the medical degree for you, now I want to do something I like. Okay, cerita supervisor ni pun sama. Supervisor interested, ni ada problem lagi nak selesai, dia pergi paksa supervisor dia buat tajuk tu. Ni tajuk siapa? Tajuk supervisor ke tajuk supervisor? Tajuk supervisor. Ingat, I told you the analogy is a marriage. Okay, supervisor has an interest, the supervisor has an interest. Find some meeting point where the topic is to both of your interest. The supervisor are interested to supervise that topic. The supervisor is interested to do research in that topic. Okay, novelty, kita dah cerita. Okay, it has something genuine, new, okay, new knowledge, new frontier, new method, and so on. Okay. Ethical, dah cerita tadi, relevant. Ni contoh, relevant macam mana relevant? Relevant to the candidate, contoh. The candidate is from Indonesia. There are certain problems back there in Indonesia. Okay, relevant to dia punya workplace. Okay, they want to solve that problem. Tak apa boleh. Okay, maybe relevant to the needs of the nation. Okay, relevant katalah punya SDG or whatnot. There are some form of relevancy. Nak cerita apa di sini? Kita bukan cerita, buat research macam mana nak ambil wuduk. Okay, dekat bulan, okay, entah siapa yang duduk kat sana, kita pun tak tahu, kita terus solve. Okay, so this is where, tuan-tuan, saya minta maaf dah pukul 11, saya minta izin nak berhenti kat sini ke, PM Robi? Minta maaf dah, aku ni berhenti macam pukul 11.
Pukul 11, Prof. Kalau Prof nak berhenti,
saya buka soalan lah boleh Kalau ada soalan, letak kita cari timeline sambung. Tak ada soalan. Any questions from the audience?
Zahir, take over Zahir.
Okay, any of you would like to ask anything about research methodology to Prof? Any of you? Any question?
Lecturer pun boleh tanya.
Ricky said semoga lepas webinar ni langsung daftar Viva. Ya, langsung aja. Kalau udah ready, siap.
Boleh Zerat boleh tanya. Oh, unmute Mute dia unmute. Kena buka.
Siapa yang mute all tadi Dah kena mute all
Buka Zahir, unmute all. Okay, unmute all. Okay.
Minta maaf dah, semuanya telah dibisukan.
Okay lah.
Kak Robi tak baik.
Ampun.
Okey, buka.
Alright, Prof.
Okay, silakan.
Saya dah graduated 2 students. Lepas tu dah jadi internal viva dan external viva juga. Dan saya dapat tengok different school of thoughts tau, Prof. Yang saya rasa susah sedikit nak solve. Especially on the objective.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
let's say katakan kita dah set student kita objective first macam ni, second, usually ada propose, ada evaluate. Yang evaluate ni, let's say kita propose algorithm, enhance algorithm ke, new algorithm ke, the third objective, evaluate. Tapi evaluate ni, dia bahaya sebab some school of thoughts, dia tak accept evaluate as the objective. Some okay. It can happen to any objective juga. Tapi saya nak tanya Prof, macam mana kita nak tackle different school of thoughts ni? Sebab dia berlaku bila at the end the process tau dah viva.
Correct. Yang evaluate ni dia saya tanyalah, mana you are basing on real case, betul
Yes.
Okay, can you share with us what is the expectation of the examiner? Dia nak macam mana?
Let's say expectation from the examiner. It is based on real case, but somehow we can actually change the objective before we went to viva lah. Tapi saya pernah internal untuk 2 viva. Satu ni evaluate tu dia tak terima as an objective, satu tu dia terima. So saya just follow external lah. Bila external tu kata evaluate is part of your research. Bila you propose something, you have to evaluate naturally. So it cannot be your another objective. Okay. Tapi yang another external, different topic.
Tak, in return, right? Apa dia nak? What if assessment and evaluation is not part of the objective? What be the substitute that he or she expects?
In that case, just suggest something from the evaluation. You actually propose a minimum number of images atau minimum number of sample data for that particular experiment. So itu boleh jadikan objektif, dia kata. So your objective is to determine what is the minimum sample data required for this particular experiment. It's not to evaluate, dia cakap evaluate is part of your process. Tapi itu satu viva. Another viva, ada evaluation
Saya nak tanya, yang evaluate tu dari segi prosesnya, evaluate dekat last ke evaluate dekat nombor 2?
Last objective. Maksudnya dia dah propose teknik and then they evaluate as the objective.
Dia evaluate, dia propose teknik.
Yes.
Saya nak tanya juga, examiner ni otai ke examiner baru?
Examiner dalam bidang.
Tak, maksud saya otai maksud saya ni 25 years in the field or longer, or 20 years in the field or longer, ataupun less than 20 years.
Lah, Prof tak tahu. Not sure.
Okay, tak apa. So the second case?
Sorry, the second scenario ke?
Second scenario tu dia terima assessment.
Yes, dia terima assessment. That one dalam bidang recommender system. Dia propose the hybrid ni master level. Dua master level. Dia propose hybrid of technique as second objective. Third objective, dia evaluate hybrid technique tu. Itu that's fine pula. Saya masa tu dah risau lah as an internal kan. Internal usually we don't have we have a say but not as dominant as external. So saya tunggulah external ni nak tegur tak objektif ketiga ni. Lepas tu dia fine. So saya okay lah sebab saya pun dah prepare lah. If dia tegur objektif ketiga, saya have something to propose lah sebab student kita kan.
Okay. Alright, fair enough. Okay. I mean, I can ask for other opinions and views juga, but let me just explain. Okay, itu yang saya katakan tadi. Okay, within our scope, there's no one fixed rule with right or wrong. Because remember tadi saya bagi scenario, the ecosystem that circumvent the particular research. Remember the word I said? In FTMK ni, we are a bit saya guna word unfortunate because in the field of IT, itulah tak sempat. Ini memang tak sempat 1 jam, memang tak sempat nak cerita kuasi, kuanti segala macam ni. Tapi we cut across the scope from experimental research to qualitative research. So because of that, the approach of doing the scientific experiment research yang kita ada di UTeM ni, there's no one basic rule kata this is the way to do it, this is the right way. Okay, but the rules that we put on the ground is that your PhD, our PhD is in scientific research. Itu the main requirement dia. It is a scientific research. So as such, you need to understand, or you macam kita buat scientific research kat sekolah dulu, masuk makmal, uji kaji sains, kimia ke bio ke apa, you kena tahu apa problemnya, okay, apa radars yang dipakainya, toolsnya, apa method step yang kita akan guna, macam mana data tu di-collect, macam mana penyelesaian kepada data yang di-collect tu dianalisa, kemudian apa kesimpulan yang kita dapat daripada data yang kita buat tu. Of course, bila kita extrapolate this to a PhD level, okay, you have a problem. Okay, in trying to understand the problem, what did you do? There's some people that kata identify problem ni tak payah. Ada yang dia kata literature ni memang you kena buat. Jadi you tak boleh tulis dalam objektif ni adalah untuk evaluate ni literature ataupun nak kaji literature. Tak boleh tulis. Memang expected. Ada yang macam saya jumpa in my career as an academia, I've seen such penilai ataupun assessor atau evaluator. Alright. Now, tapi yang of course semuanya tak akan dispute adalah metodologi tu memang kena ada, dan apa yang you propose tu mesti kena ada, whether it's the design and so on. Lepas tu of course kalau dia experimental and so on, you implement ataupun tidak. Apa yang you propose tu, how did you do it? How did you implement? And then of course after that, how do you evaluate? Itu soalan saya tadi. Okay. Evaluate ni dia masuk tak masuk dalam objektif, dia memang kena buat. Because you need to prove whatever design, proposed methodology, new novelty yang you bawa ni, to prove it that it's better, the technique is better, it solve the problem yang you letak dekat atas mula-mula tu. Okay. So that's why in general, kalau lah peringkat PhD atau master ni, you cannot run away between 3 to 5 objective ni. Okay, you cannot run away from that. Okay, maknanya to identify the problem nak benchmark tadi, you propose atau develop something, you design, implement something, then you buat assessment. Itu proses yang memang kena buat. Sebab itulah maknanya kalau saya punya school of thought, okay, daripada problem, okay, siapa yang dah follow kalau group saya lah dia akan tahu. Daripada kita identify problem, you buat research questions. Okay, RQ. Daripada RQ tu, you terus menjadi objektif. Okay, daripada objektif tu, you terus map jadi method. Daripada method, you terus map jadi contribution ataupun hasil penyelesaian kat ujung tu. Okay, dan that kena map daripada chapter 1 sampai dah the last chapter to chapter 5 atau chapter 6. Dia kena coherent. Okay, kat mana you selesaikan first objektif, kat mana you selesaikan your second objektif, mana you selesaikan your fourth or fifth of objective. Okay, so coming back to question track tadi, tolong mute kan ni siapa so itu yang saya katakan, mute kat seorang tu je. Okay, itu yang saya katakan tadi, when you go into the process, whether we like it or not, we cannot, ingat saya katakan Malaysia is so rich. Jangan lihat benda ni sebagai masalah. Malaysia is so rich. Why saya kata begitu? When we send our people, our talent, okay, for training, for PhD, the PhD process in Malaysia is so unique because it is a combination of the multicultural academic culture globally. Because why? We have our academic who graduated from Indonesia. Okay, Indonesia punya sistem dia macam sistem Belanda. Do you know that in Indonesia, some of you are from Indonesia? Okay, the panel for PhD assessment ni sampai 15 orang. Okay, bayangkanlah kalau macam tu. So that's why kita ada, sebab tu saya tanya jadi yang penilai luar tu, as an examiner tu otai ke tak otai. Because zaman in the 80s, 90s, expectation is different. As time goes by in the 90s, 2000, things has changed in terms of expectation. Okay, and post 2020 the millennium punya yang ni pun dah ada beza. So that's where the cultural difference and training differences is brought into the culture of the university. Okay, itu satu hal. Kedua, macam kita UTeM pula, kita ada set of guidelines kita sendiri. Okay, so that's where the interpretation of what needed to be in the thesis is different. Of course, saya, because I've been trained in the US, also in the UK, right, and exposure of course to the local development. Okay, there are certain flexibility yang saya ada, that others may have certain rigidity in how they look at the thesis. Okay, so because that depends on how but more so important yang saya kata tadi, akhirnya tu apa yang nak dinilai? The ability for the candidate to contribute to the novelty of knowledge, okay, in conducting research, okay, scientifically. Itu dia yang, okay, yang lain ni pada saya, honestly, to my saying is that these are all cosmetic. Kalau dua-dua examiner dengan internal setuju, yang tu buang lah. Tapi proses tu tetap kena buat. Macam saya tadi lah, kalau evaluation tu tetap kena buat, mesti buat. Kalau lah dia tak setuju, evaluation tu kena buat, jangan nanti dia jadi examiner lagi. Itu dah jalan sesat dah. Sebab saya guna ayat tu Sren. Because the broader community of knowledge, memang in you doing research, ingat saya kata tadi, belum taxonomy level 3 level, C4, C5, C6 tu, analyze, synthesize and evaluate.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam. Zahir, tiba-tiba Prof ni dia disconnected.
Ya.
Macam mana? Masa dah tak ada network kot dekat kawasan dia.
Tak ada network. Ya. Kawasan.
Nak tutup siaran ke macam mana? Dah pukul 11 lebih.
I think we should Prof.
Prof, dah terputus siaran ni Prof. Network connection dia suruh tutup siaran Prof. Pukul 11
siaran kita.
tiba-tiba. Prof punya yang terputus tadi.
Saya punya terputus. Alamak.
Ya.
Sekejap saya ambil wire. Rapi-rapi saya cakap. Saya wiredkan. Okey. Tadi wifi. Okey, boleh dengar ke?
Dah syukur kita dah boleh close kot Prof. Syukur dah.
Okey, kalau tak ada soalan lagi kita tutup.
Ada kalau apa soalan nanti WhatsApp Prof lah nanti. Okey Zahir.
Okey, so kita tutuplah majlis webinar kita hari ini dengan surah An-Nas. So terima kasih banyak Prof kerana meluangkan masa dan men-sharekan some experience. Thank you to all that spending your time to listen to this webinar. I hope it's going to be fruitful and informative to you in doing your research.
Zahir ambil gambar last Zahir. Ambil gambar capture gambar last ni. Siapa ni? So participant buka ni. Kamera ambil gambar satu.
Okay, thank you all for joining the session. Minta maaf lah on the last part ni ada some technical problem pula. But I think the committee will try to organize maybe future event and maybe other academics or professors also will be sharing. So kalau ada salah dan silap, if there's any shortcoming, I apologize. Okay, but I hope people can benefit something from the sharing session. To Rosmiza tadi, sorry tak masuk chapter 3 lagi. Maklumlah dia punya bunga-bunganya pun panjang sangat. So thank you all and insyaAllah see all of you again. Okay, Assalamualaikum.
Okay.
Zahir dah ambil gambar dah Zahir?
Last sekali.
Oh, nak ambil gambar
Nak ambil gambar.
Okay, semua buka.
Semua buka ni kamera. Ya.
Okay.
Nanti Zahir capture. Wah, Zaki ada dengar. Zaki ada.
Zaki santainya.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Okay.
Zahir dah ambil apa sekian lagi?
Dah ambil.
Ada beberapa screen.
Ambil juga.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Terima kasih.
Okay, sama.
Oh, ada Prof Dekan lah.
Dekan datang daripada tadi. Okay. So, terima kasih semua. Gambar dah ambil dah Zahir. Okay.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Prof.